Fox Sports presents the quest for the cup. 19,040 at the Meadowlands to see Game 5. The Rangers against the Devils. And they're charged up, and so are we. Good afternoon, everyone. Along with John Davidson, I'm Mike Emmerich. The Rangers up in the series, 3-1. Why?
Well, you think about the regular season, the Devils ended up 18 points ahead of the Rangers. The playoffs come around, and the Rangers all of a sudden get performances at each position more than anything else, Mike. You think about them up front, Wayne Gretzky leads the team in scoring in the playoffs. Brian Leetch has been great on defense in the playoffs, anchoring the power play, playing well defensively. And then there's Mike Richter. I think he may be the best player in the playoffs, period, right now, the way he's been able to play goal. Late in Game 2, stops McLean. That allowed the Rangers to tie the series at 1. Game 3, Rob Zelapukin. The Rangers won the game to go ahead 2-1. And then in Game 4, he put on a show, robbing Stevens and then McKay. Richter has been the key for the Rangers, and the Rangers do have the lead in the series.
What does the Devil team have to do to try and get back in this thing today?
Well, first of all, they have to focus in and play their game. Get the lead, settle down. Their focus has been out of focus. Talking to Jacques Lemaire, their coach, talking to Doug Gilmour, Scotty Niedermayer, their players say no matter what happens in this game, we want to play Devils hockey. Focus, discipline. They have not been disciplined in this series. And then they have an emotional lift. Dave Andreychuk is in the lineup. Their power play in this series is 1 for 18. Dave Andreychuk is a big, strong guy who can get to the net to find rebounds. He will be a strong addition for this club, in particular on the power play today.
Martin Brodeur, 37th straight playoff start for New Jersey, weathering a cold. And of course, Richter at the other end. The Devils begin with Thomas, Holik, and McKay against Tikkanen, Messier, and Graves for the Rangers. Leetch and Bukaboom, the defense for New York. Stevens and Chambers for New Jersey. Chambers chipped it off the glass. Leetch wedges it one-handedly, and it's drilled back off by Bukaboom and taken by Tikkanen. Leads it ahead for Mark Messier. Moving in, wrist shot, save, rebound, swept wide. As patrolling was Randy McKay.
That was a great back check by McKay. There was a rebound, and Adam Graves was driving to the net. McKay on the back check. This is the line Jacques Lemaire has kept together, hoping that they will be aggressive with their forecheck. Holik, McKay, and Steve Thomas.
Holik tried to dig it out but failed. Messier nudges on to Graves. Moving in with Tikkanen, but the pass went off Thomas. And Thomas backhands it as far as Ulf Samuelsson. Big number 5 cranking it back in. Ricochets behind Brodeur, near Guerin, but he was preoccupied, so it's Robitaille. Bouncing it off to Churla. Churla tried to finesse in center. Now puts one in front, cut off by Stevens. Back checked away by Robitaille. Backhander by Churla. It's fed away by Gilmour. Karpatsev along to Eastwood and back in. How significant is the first goal?
I think it means more to the Devils than it does the Rangers right now, Mike, for their building, for their fans, for themselves, for their confidence level. The Rangers in the 2 games here, as there's an offside, the 2 games here did not play well in the first periods. Mike Richter did, saved them.
In Game 1, it was Martin Brodeur, and in Game 2, Mike Richter. Esa Tikkanen, the wily veteran, with a pair of goals in the 3rd game, and Richter another shutout in game number 4.
Jacques Lemaire looks on. We've already seen a change. Jacques Lemaire, just this last shift, had Doug Gilmour on the ice for Mike Eastwood, the 3rd-line center for the Rangers. They want, does Jacques Lemaire and his club, Doug Gilmour, to score. He needs scoring, as we're going to have a delay here for some reason. And as we could see on the last shift, it was not Gilmour on the ice against Gretzky. It was Gilmour against Eastwood, and now it looks like Jacques Lemaire is going to put Carpenter on Gretzky. So right away, we can see the Devils have changed their strategy going into this game. Yesterday, with the Rangers practice in Rye, New York, Gretzky skated for about 5 minutes. Decided against staying on any longer, trying to preserve strength. He's down to under 170 pounds, so he needs strength when you play at this level. Spots.
Well, they are adjusting a cracked pane of glass, and that will take a moment. We saw Bobby Carpenter earlier. He's the guy that gets the tough assignments for the Devils against every team. Jacques Lemaire says, I don't pay attention to plus-minus much, except when it comes to Bobby Carpenter. The fact that he's a +3 in the playoffs And the fact that he's even in the series against the Rangers tells me the type of job that he's doing against this team. His team is not a plus, but Bobby Carpenter is. He first got matched up against Mark Messier in 1990 in the Stanley Cup Finals when he was with Boston and Messier with Edmonton. And the thinking of the Boston hierarchy at the time was, we need somebody that's about 200 pounds like he is to go up against Messier. We don't have anybody that big.
Remember,
but this is the guy.
Yeah, Carpenter originally was more of a goal scorer than a defensive type forward. Scored over, well, he's got the 50-goal season with the Washington Capitals. Had a bad injury, shattered his kneecap, and they had to wire it together. Yet he's back and playing, so he'll have the role of guarding Wayne Gretzky today. And the Devils, Jacques Lemaire, talking to him before the game, he told me that he'll have on his bench as the game starts, he'll have a feel for his players, who he's going to play, who he's not going to play. He says he wants Elias back into the lineup to add offense, especially on the power play. Number 10, Peterson, back into the lineup. He did not play in the last game. He wants him to add life to the game. Life for the Devils.
Now, Brian Leetch has the plate and screws in his ankles. What will Dave Andreychuk be facing having that?
Well,
then?
Brian Leetch has had the same injury that Dave Andreychuk had, and that's the left ankle or the fibia bone. You have two large bones in the bottom of your leg that go into the ankle. The fibia is a smaller one. Am I correct? Yeah, I think I'm correct on that. And that's where it fractured at where it joins the ankle. So they take a plate and they put the plate on there, size it up, and then put titanium screws in to help the bone heal properly and add strength. Brian Leetch for the Rangers has had it done to both ankles. And for a long time, Brian Leetch had to take anti-inflammatory pills. He's off that now, but certainly we see the way he plays. He has no problems whatsoever. The thing with Dave Andreychuk, which is remarkable, Mike, is the surgery was less than a month ago. The cast came off
4 days ago.
4 days ago. He's practiced 3 times, and he's there to add energy. Whether he plays at even strength, I don't know. You look at him, he's keyed up. And as you told me before the game started, Mike, he was voted the player's player, voted by the players as the player's player. And that's what he means to this club. And if he gets a chance in the power play, he'll be dangerous.
My partner was the recipient of that a couple of times in his career. Quite an honor, isn't it?
It's a good feeling when your own teammates kind of look up to you and respect your abilities and your team first attitude. That's what Andreychuk gives the Devils.
This is Lidster. Early goings, first period, 100 seconds played. In prior history, the team that has scored first has won the game in this series. The Devils have outshot the Rangers 58-25 in the first periods of this series, but have been outscored 4-1. That's 1 goal in 58 first period shots by New Jersey.
And it's interesting here too, seeing the Rangers put Tikkanen on the Gretzky line for, I think, more for defense than anything else.
McLean a shot and a save made by Richter. The first Devils shot in the afternoon, and it's 1 shot apiece. Now Bruce Driver, one-time Devil.
Tikkanen took a dive. Don Koharski did not go for it, as Tikkanen actually tried a pick play, dropped down. Don Koharski, the referee, did not swallow the bait.
Koharski, the referee, Shane Heyer, Jay Scherers, the linesman. The off-ice officials are from Philadelphia. And the puck out of play.
Esa Tikkanen, as the Rangers move up ice to try to break the trap of the Devils. Watched, first of all, he was tied up with Carpenter. Now Tikkanen will look and see his team moving up. He'll move over to Carpenter's, picking Carpenter off, and look at Tikkanen go down. That was a play where the referee was on the far side of the ice, looked across, and did not go for the bait. Don Koharski's a veteran referee with a lot of important playoff games throughout the 1990s.
In the 1990s, no one has been brought in to work 7th games, ultimate games in series, more than Don Koharski. We've often called him the troubleshooter. When things get really bad, he seems to wind up there for the next game. Bobby Holik with a shot, knocked down by the defense. McKay there, darting by was Thomas, up the half boards to Holik, around for Thomas. Checked to the wall and held there by Bukaboom. To a side jostle. It's away from Messier, taken by Holik, fed behind. Bukaboom preoccupied with Thomas.
This is what Jacques Lemaire wants from this big line. Grind the corners, grind deep.
Holik a shot, and it went wide. On around now for Chambers. Turned it back for Bukaboom, who's been an impressive, imposing force with all that size in this series. And it's chipped back down by the Rangers.
Going into this game, Holik had 9 shots on goal, 6 of them in game 1. So the Devils need more from him They need a lot more offense from him, and that big line did a job on the forecheck. Devils going with 3 lines.
Walston with a wrist shot that's wide. Samuelsson played it along. Kept along further by Carpenter, but then it's Karpatsev putting it into Carpenter again. Little nudge pass is tipped to Ralston in front. Taken out of the play by Eastwood. Strong defensive play by him. Pitched right back along by Ellett. Trying to fight his way there is Carpenter. Brushed it along, and it's allowed to roll to Karpatsev. Ellett is there. Banking it for Ralston by John McLean. Tried to sweep it to the front, but Samuelsson on him.
Pressure by the Devils. No cracking defensively by the Rangers.
Odeline bringing it on. Fires, and it's deflected wide by Karpatsev. Flatley kicked it, and Gilmour fed on for Ralston. Back to Gilmour again. Gilmour pestered by Bruce Driver. Still twisting with it. Fed one that skipped off a defenseman's skate and is wedged away for Wayne Gretzky. Just shuttled it back to neutral ice, and it's Odeline to play it there.
Now this time we do see Gretzky opposites Gilmour. Gilmour still on the ice as some of his line mates change.
Follow up from Tikkanen. And backhanded on in by Flatley.
All that pressure by the Devils did not register a shot.
Gilmour is staying on. Niedermeyer with a pass in the skates of Gilmour. Knocked away and sent by Tikkanen over to Gilmour. Shooting one, and it went off a skate wide. Tikkanen cracked into Gilmour. Played along by Driver. Lidster up the boards, and it's handled by Flatley. Gave it to Wayne Gretzky. Then on for Tikkanen. Tikkanen dealt one that Brodeur is out to stop, and then Danico again. Ken Danico's pass is ahead for Elias, and then dropped on back for Niedermeyer. Penalty coming up. It'll be against the Rangers.
Tikkanen going for a change. Tripped up Elias. And Tikkanen with a very, very undisciplined penalty in a scoreless game. Going to the bench, got caught tripping. We have circled Esa Tikkanen. A reverse angle look at Tikkanen moving across. Knocks down Elias. Tikkanen to the penalty box, and you hear some noise at the Meadowlands here as Dave Andreychuk takes his first shift. It's on the power play. He's big, and he's good with that long reach finding loose pucks.
Holik and Elias are with him. Niedermeyer and Chambers the points. Brian Leetch twists, had it knocked away by Andreychuk. Shuttled along for Bobby Holik. Holik took a hit, back up the boards, kept alive though, and helped to Niedermeyer. Flipped one in front that's knifed away by Leetch and played by Eastwood. Mike Eastwood dumping it back in, and a change now. Messier comes off, so does Eastwood. Graves is out to penalty kill along with Russ Courtnall. To that of Bukaboom, and he skips it back down.
Andreychuk has already gone off, Mike.
Boy, pretty quick shift.
Yeah, about 35 seconds he went. I mean, you can't expect more. He's conditioning real high. He made one good play stripping Leetch of the puck, but no attack time for the Devils.
Courtnall flips, tipped by the stick of Holik. This will draw a whistle. Cannot play the puck with a high stick. 1 minute and 6 seconds left to go on the minor penalty to Esa Tikkanen. What do you think about the flow and play so far, John?
What we've seen so far, the Rangers started quickly. Brodeur made a good save, and McKay saved the rebound as Graves went to it. Then we had the fractured glass. After the stoppage, the Devils came back and attacked, played very well, but didn't get any offense. Then we saw Tikkanen take a bad penalty, and this is where we sit. We're not seeing the dominating first period that we saw from the Devils in the 2 games here, games 1 and 2 at the Meadowlands. I think it's been fairly even to this point.
This is Ellett, halfway through the Rangers penalty kill. The Devils in this series are 1 for 8. That's not good. Fed back to the point. Ellett shooting one that went off the stick of Gilmour and is punched ahead to Eastwood. Outletted on to Messier, but across 2 lines. And so play is stopped.
The linesman and referee very sharp early here in the first period. A good call. It was a 2-line pass. As we're not seeing Niedermeyer as much on the power play as the game begins on the blue line for the Devils. Here's Messier. You can see how he's thinking about heading up ice. As soon as he sees his team have the chance to get offense killing penalties, he'll fly the zone. The Rangers and the Devils have not scored a shorthanded goal in this series to this point, but it backs the power play team up when you have somebody like Messier and Speed killing penalties. Again, I don't think we see too much of Niedermeyer on the power play.
He's out for that one early shift, and he departed about the same time that Andreychuk did.
It was a short 35-40 seconds early in the game.
Boy, what a jam-up. Looks like rugby.
On the other side, good call.
Yeah, when
it's
you get
Eastwood and yeah.
Jay Scherer says, "Who's crawling up my back?"
Well,
here?
the one guy, you got to get the hookers in there. Then you take your skate and you pull the puck back, and then you drive the other guy's head right down into the ground. Hey, you ever watch the Irish play rugby?
I think it's been thought of in this series too. Off of Odeline, it's bounced on back. Ellett shuffleboards it along for Thomas. Thomas off the glass. Gilmore back to Thomas. Odeline. Thomas again. Half a minute left. Power play. And it's sped back down by Leach. Mike Eastwood has been the Rangers' most valuable player defensively through the first 6 minutes and 50 seconds.
Yeah, we talked about McKay with that defensive play he made. Mike Eastwood made exactly the same type of play deep in his own zone.
Gilmore floated one that is cut off by Karpatsev, but put into Gilmore, and so they'll battle again. It comes to Ulf Samuelsson, and he blasts it back down. In 2 seconds and in 1. Tikkanen is out. And the Rangers in the series have killed off 18 out of 19, including a couple of 5-on-3s in game 2.
Now, as we watch here, the power play expires for the Devils. Gretzky comes on the ice.
So the Rangers at their bench as we're back to play here. Midway first period, only 1 shot apiece.
The power play expires for the Devils. The Rangers, right after a penalty kill, put Gretzky on the ice to generate offense. Guerin being double shifted here as Andreychuk's only playing the power play.
Driver put it off Niedermayer. They fight for it, and up with it is Peterson. Peterson met by Tikkanen. Puck booted away, but to Reed Simpson. The rugged winger had that one knocked away by Flatley, who tripped up Peterson. Puck fed to the back. Danico a shot. Pad stopped by Richter, who came way out. Almost to the hash marks, and a long pass to Tikkanen. Looks, shoots, score! Esa Tikkanen with the first goal of the game for the Rangers on the second shot of the game for the Rangers.
All started with a save. Mike Richter made a save on a deflected slap shot. Niedermayer will take the shot, watch the shot, hit somebody, and Richter kick it right up. Now Gretzky will look at Tikkanen flying right through the middle. A beautiful pass over the stick of the defenseman, and then top corner. Esa Tikkanen, who took a bad penalty earlier, had his teammates kill it off. He comes back, moves in, didn't waste time, right over the shoulder of Marty Brodeur. 1-0 Rangers. The pass by Gretzky floated right over top of the defenseman's stick, right on the blade of Esa Tikkanen's stick. Breakaway time and 1-0 Rangers.
Tikkanen with his 7th goal of the playoffs and his 4th goal of this series. Odeline plops it in, Karpatsev to get it there. Back along the boards, Churla trying to play it. Flipped one through Ellett and back. Wayne Gretzky gets the lone assist on the brilliant long pass at 7:53.
Richter doesn't get an assist, but he made the save as the Devils very nearly scored.
Should have had one, eh, John?
Well, he kicked it up. It's a possession thing, right, Mike? It doesn't much matter if goaltenders get assists.
Once in a while they get goals. That's happened in this playoff year. Puck floated out of play, 11:25 to go in the opening period of our contest.
She mentioned that Marty Brodeur has a head cold that's bothering him somewhat. Also has a pretty good mark on his left cheekbone as Esa Tikkanen was shoved by Scott Stevens in game 4, and Tikkanen crashed into Marty Brodeur, and the helmet, the mask he wears, took some skin off his left cheekbone. I asked him if he kept going to the movies. He's been going to the movies before every game, the night before, to kill some time. Last night he didn't. He wanted to change his luck a little bit.
Off this face-off, puck picked up by Thomas. Got it on to Bobby Holik. Holik then along to Thomas. Jammed it in front, but it's picked up by Courtnall. Shoves it ahead to Adam Graves. Graves lobbed it back in, and Scott Stevens, the Devils' captain, to play it. Jammed it around for Chambers. Chambers flipped over for Stevens. And Stevens playing one ahead to Bobby Holik. Holik across now to Thomas. Boy, what a Ranger wall is set up. A little pass that is knifed away from McKay. McKay working the boards. Randy McKay's pass ricocheted off Holik, brought out by Messier. Very deliberately just lofts one back in that's blocked away by Brodeur.
And to this point, the Rangers playing a very calm game defensively. The Devils yet to generate that passionate forecheck that they could get going.
They had a power play earlier, failed on that. Puck passed off of Elias, followed up by Gilmore. But it's still hung up in the linesman's skates as well as Elias. were mentioning the other night the collision that Esa Tikkanen had with Martin Brodeur that left that welt.
Well, it was a big rebound, and Scotty Stevens was back checking with Tikkanen. Tikkanen was looking for the rebound, and there you can see the mark right on the cheek there is the goalie mask itself. The knee of Tikkanen went into the goalie mask of Brodeur, and the mask went into his cheekbone. He lost a little bit of skin, as you see on the play.
John, when you were playing back in the 70s, the masks fit right against your face, and if you took a shot on those, you'd have cuts all over.
You'd have cuts, plus you'd have a headache. Today, with the masks the way they're formed in the V shape, a lot of the pressure, it's more of a ricochet than a head-on type of a collision. Face-off coming up in the Rangers zone. The Devils have been pretty good on face-offs in this series, but the Rangers have won the key ones late in games. And there's been a lot more face-offs in the Rangers zone than there has the Devils zone. So far, the Devils have won 8 of 10. But these defensive zone ones that become important as the game moves along, that's what starts to tell stories. As Andreychuk has another short shift. That time he was on with Dougie Gilmour. Jacques Lemaire, you can see already with his team down 1-0 and here at the midpoint of the first period, he's trying everything to find offense to get his team going. He's juggling, he's double shifting, he's trying to get something going.
Yesterday in the practice, Dave Andreychuk scored a goal, and the team virtually erupted, as much as players will in a practice. It's a rather commonplace occurrence, but then when this guy gets one, all of a sudden it signals, hey, there's one more thing that maybe we've got going for us, and they've been desperately searching for things like that.
Well, Mike Richter has only allowed 3 goals against in the 4 games, if you forget about the empty net goals, and only 7 by Brodeur. The goaltending has been spectacular at both ends. Richter's been more busy and allowed fewer goals.
Earlier you saw some of his wonderful saves in this series, and all of those saves occurred at a time when, had he let those in, it would have been the tying goal in the game. But he prevented games from being tied just constantly in this series, as well as in the first one against Florida, which I guess he can, didn't he? The Florida series. Big shot by Odeline, pad stopped by Richter, and played back out.
Mike Richter termed it a primer because both the Florida Panthers and the Devils play a similar style of play, more north-south instead of a fancy offensive game.
Robitaille snuffed out by Carpenter, angled back off, and it is tipped by Ralston and then swatted away, and so the Rangers will chase. If you're just joining us, 1 goal. Tikkanen from Wayne Gretzky, a breakaway on a long pass at 7:53. It was the second Ranger shot. They have not had one since. The Devils have had only 2, and we've played over half the first period. The Devils usually in this series have come out with a first period onslaught. This one angled back in, and it'll be icing if the Rangers arrive first. They blasted him out of the way. That was bouncing puck, came back to Scott Stevens.
Sense that both teams are playing very careful too, Mike, with their sticks and trying to stay out of the penalty box.
Exactly.
After what happened with the Sundstrom-McLean incident, where Sundstrom had the fractured arm from the slash of John McLean.
That did not turn out to be a power play situation. The Devils had 7 other ones that night that were. They had not been shorthanded 7 times since before Thanksgiving. That's how their discipline lacked. Roused it up to a side of the boards. Andreychuk trying to step free. Wedged by Flatley. Still they battle along the boards behind. Andreychuk trying to fight his way to the front. And Niedermayer lost his edge trying to control, and so it is back to Danico.
Yeah, Flatley threw a pretty good hit into Niedermayer right at center ice earlier on the shift. And Andreychuk showing surprising strength, using his wide leg stance, shielding the defenseman with his body, showing strength with his left leg.
He is still out there as Niedermayer pops one that is gloved down by Driver and then sent back in by Andreychuk, who obediently heads for the bench. Lidster fired it back around, and the Rangers could not control. Brushed ahead by Ellett, and it must be played by Odeline. Back on now for Randy McKay, and McKay floats it off the wall back in. Fixes his bayonet and goes out. Lidster recovered and dumped it back off, and Ellett will retreat. Still 2 shots apiece. Under 7.5 to go.
The Devils are forcing here. Forcing, but nothing in the middle. Long shots, nothing in the middle.
In the games at Madison Square Garden, the Devils wound up out shooting the Rangers, but many of their shots were 60-footers and from the side.
Right, I think the Devils now, in taking the long shots that they are telling you that there's nobody open to move the puck to, but they've got to find a way to get rebounds.
Bobby Holik twisting with it, feeds back to Stevens. Had to pull the trigger quickly, and it bounced in front. McKay shot it wide. Dealt back along, Bobby Holik there. Graves battling with him, and it's put back to neutral ice.
Best chance of the period for the Devils, and the puck just spun right off the blade of McKay's stick, and he had space, he had time.
Ralston a shot, and that blocked away by Richter. Now Leach rammed into by Bobby Holik. Messier feeds it ahead for Russ Courtnall. And Courtnall just ragging. Nice drop off to Leach, moving it back in. Leach with a wrist shot, blocked away to the glass by Brodeur. Dug out by Stevens. Open pass for Elias, moving back out with John McLean. Elias moving his way in. On him is Bukaboom. Rams him hard to the boards and glass. Up with it now is Carpenter. Onto the back, Danico must play in neutral ice.
Oh, Elias paid a price. Oh, he got up and appears to be okay. Hardest hit of the game. Elias by Bukaboom.
6 feet 5 inches, 230 pounds. Jeff Bukaboom. Niedermeyer on a cross. Elias feeds to Gilmore. Couldn't control from the shot. And it's covered by Flatley.
Well, the Devils there appearing to find some space and room, but losing the puck on their own.
Rangers ahead 1-0. Latter stages first period. We apologize for some of the unusual audio that you are getting today. Feverish attempts are being made to get that corrected. As the Devils in their offensive attack. 4 shots to 2 for New Jersey. You see the total now through the first period of the series, 62-27, and outgunned 5 goals to 1. Odeline threw it wide.
The Devils have won 5 of 6 faceoffs in the Rangers zone.
Here's Churla, and wide with that shot. Well, the numbers have favored them almost all along, except the ones on the scoreboard. Outshot the Rangers, sometimes outchanced them, but not outscored them in the last 3.
You know, the scoring chances have been actually pretty close in the series, but there's been a lot of shots taken by the Devils that have been long shots that you don't put into the category of a scoring chance.
Played and neutralized by Lidster and given over to Driver. The Rangers have actually mirrored the Devils' traditional style a lot of times in this series.
And we're seeing a much more patient first period here by both teams than what we saw earlier in the series. Much more.
Thomas canceled out by for a play to be made by Graves. Graves trying to get it further. It came on back to Chambers, across to Stevens. And Stevens fires it back in. Bouncing puck is blocked by Leach. Got away from most of the hit of Thomas, and then it is around for Graves. Adam Graves backhands it out. And it was touched by a high stick. 4:31 to go, first period. 6 shots in this period, 6 total. 1-0 Rangers. Young man from Finland on the left. Not as young as when he first burst into the league and won the first of his many Stanley Cups, Esa Tikkanen. He's watching from the bench right now. Esa Tikkanen with 5 of those championships, hoping for 6 this year.
Offside, the Devils. You know, Tikkanen has scored 20% of his goals in the playoffs. That's what he does. The Devils have 4. Tikkanen has 4 in this series. And I think the goal that he scored on the breakaway on Marty Brodeur was a silencer.
Boy, did it ever take the life out of the arena.
It's gone. It's gone. The Devils need somebody here to do something to give their team a spark. I don't know if it's a big body check or if it's a goal on Mike Richter, but they're look at this. This place right now is extremely quiet, and with no scoring chances and no goals for the Devils. The Devils have to find a way to generate the energy that they need. The Rangers have taken it away from them.
Here is Ralston bringing it ahead. Brian Ralston shooting and a save. Rebound, and it popped off of Richter. Good wrist shot by Ralston. It's fed in front, knocked away by Samuelson, and brought up by Gretzky. Gretzky hands on to Esa Tikkanen. He's got a man moving up the wing flatly. Over for Gretzky, but shuffleboarded away. John McLean moving ahead, but it's Ralston with the puck. Ralston cruising right in front. Backhander stopped by Richter, and he lost his glove again. He's barehanded out there. Puck along now to Gilmore. Glove is scooped back into him. Now he's protected as it's handed on for Tikkanen and then back down.
Well, we said the Devils needed a hero, and maybe Brian Ralston is trying to provide it for their club. As Ralston moved down the left side, that was some great wrist shot, and Richter made one just super glove save. Here it is. Ralston goes wide and snaps it the other way. Big rebound, and you see it kicked wide by Ulf Samuelsson. That is a big save by Richter on Ralston. Now Ralston drives to the net. Same shift. Richter sprawls, looks like Dominic Hasek. There goes the glove. McLean can't get to the rebound, and Richter, with the help of Bruce Driver, was able to get his catching glove back and on his hand. He's ready to play without it. He's looking around bodies, directing traffic. Here comes the glove, and he was able to put it back on. That's the best shift the Devils have had in getting to the net, and it was because of Brian Ralston.
Odeline shooting, blocked away by Richter. That was his catching glove hand. So what happens if one comes in there? Just get your body in front of it and block it?
You know, you hope sometimes your instincts don't take over and you throw your hand, because it doesn't take much to fracture a finger or a bone in your hand with the pucks being frozen and shot 80, 90, 100 miles an hour.
Here's Andreychuk. Backhands it in. Dave Andreychuk, injured in the final regular season game in Philadelphia. Fractured ankle. Has a plate and screws in it, and is playing in his first game back from that today.
And the Devils have won almost every faceoff in the Rangers zone, but the Rangers are not allowing shots off the faceoff.
Heavy hit on Bukaboom by Randy McKay. Bukaboom comes back. The puck kicked along now to Thomas. Wants to point it. Got it back to Chambers. Hurried it across to Stevens. Stevens shooting. Save Richter. Rebound. Flip back out.
A well-designed setup and big traffic in front.
Fans complaining about something that happened behind the play between Bukaboom and Gilmore. Meanwhile, Chambers spun it back off. Brian Leetch to keep it alive. Flipped one that's knifed away to the boards and then drilled back off by Holik, but kept by Graves. Graves, diving play made on him by Chambers. Kept alive by Bukaboom. Along now for Adam Graves again. Spinning to the slot. Hands over to Leetch. Fed it across. Shot save. Brodeur from Wayne Gretzky's, or rather from Mark Messier's stick. And play is stopped.
Big time save as the Devils start to take the play to the Rangers. Richter making all the saves. The last one through traffic from Scott Stevens. Now Bukaboom and Gilmore are there. Gilmore grabbed a hold of Bukaboom's stick, which is smart. Nobody can get to the rebound, and then Bukaboom gave Gilmore a shot and kicked the stick away. And then big time save for Brodeur. Watch him. This is Leetch on the puck. A pass across. Brodeur stays with it and robs Mark Messier, who put the shot on goal. Big look at it. Here comes Messier down that side. Stick on the ice. The target's there. Accurate shot, and Brodeur robbed him. Oh, man. That's the best shift the Rangers have had since Tikkanen scored on the breakaway, as the Devils have been forcing and forcing and forcing, and they now have 8 shots. The Rangers 4.
Under 2 minutes to play, and now both teams starting to rise to the occasion after a very careful first 17 minutes. John McLean stood up by Tikkanen. It is handed across to Ralston. John McLean held back by Tikkanen. Penalty coming up. It'll be against the Rangers. Delayed call. It's off Ralston and then shuttled away. And then Ulf Samuelsson paused a little bit with Ralston.
Sorry, Mike. Tikkanen will go. He was mixed up with McLean. I think he'll get either a holding or interference penalty. Every shift that Tikkanen's been on the ice in this game, something's happened. A breakaway goal, bumping people, checking people, holding people up. McLean there is with Tikkanen. The show begins. The puck will go back outside of the Rangers zone. Right there is Flatley's on it. Tikkanen and McLean stay with one another in battle. Tikkanen's in the box.
Coming up on the new Dodge Intermission Report, JB Dave and special guest Coyotes center Jeremy Roenick will bring you the scores and highlights from around the league. Also, they'll take a closer look at the infamous crease controversy. All coming up during the first intermission.
Goal scored in Philadelphia by Philadelphia a couple of nights ago. Not allowed. And talking to Brian Burke from the National Hockey League today, said it should have been allowed. So the rule, they're still trying to perfect it. Tikkanen disagrees with the call there. And the Devils get their second power play here in the first period. And they're starting to go, Mike. You can sense it a little bit offensively. Andreychuk's out there again.
It is to Bukaboom. And it is back down. Guerin and Andreychuk are the wingers for Doug Gilmore. Gilmore without a point in the series. Niedermeyer leads the Devils in scoring with 2 points in 4 games. Chambers blasts it back around. It rode the rail and then nubbed over near Bill Guerin. Poked back up the boards and steered out from Eastwood onto Mark Messier. Messier gives it over to Leach. Moving in, it's Messier. Wrist shot! Pad stop made by Brodeur.
And Brodeur has stopped Messier 3 times in this first period. Every one of those shots labeled accurate, good scoring chances.
Puck blocked by Andrechuk. He's able to keep it alive. Andrechuk got it over to Chambers. Shoots one. Pad stop made by Richter. Now Gilmore again. Taken to the boards and glass. Diving play by Chambers. Picked up by Leach. Worked on to Courtnall. Courtnall moving ahead with Graves. He's got Graves breaking. Feeds to him and he couldn't handle the pass. Back up now come the Devils. They're still on the power play. Half a minute to go in the period. It's over to McLean. Blocked down by the defense of Samuelson and he covers.
Good play at both ends. The Rangers thinking offense while they're shorthanded. A number of times now on the 2 Devil power plays, the Rangers have countered. Courtnall tries to elevate the pass as you see a crisscross. Courtnall goes wide to buy time to allow Graves to go to the net. The pass is over the stick blade. Nothing happens. The Devils come right back. Odd man rush with 2 Rangers deep. And watch Ulf Samuelsson throw his body at the trailer McLean, who took the shot. And not only did Samuelsson block the shot, but he kept the puck underneath him for a faceoff. Again, the Rangers have been dominated on faceoffs in their own zone. Here, however, on the penalty kill, Mark Messier will be able to take the draw opposite Holik.
Well, John McLean has to feel like a man reprieved that he's even in this game. A 2-handed swat on Nicholas Sundstrom, and the on-ice officials didn't see it. There was no good video on it. You can't call what you can't see. So the Rangers steamed by this, and why wouldn't they be?
Yeah, but you understand why there was no suspension. And Brian Burke told me today there was at least 6 times this year where there was somebody on the ice doing something that was not seen by the officials, not on video, and you can't hand out a suspension if you can't really have a clear, concise look at it. That's the feeling of the league, and they've been consistent with that all season long. I think people in the media get upset with it, Mike. People that root for their teams get upset one way or the other. The media, everyone. The players, however, they're more focused than anybody else, than their coaches, than their general managers, than anybody. The players play the game and take care of their own jobs. I think John McLean was very lucky that it wasn't seen, so he's on the ice and has a chance to take advantage of the situation.
13.9 left in the period. And Gilmore with Messier. The Rangers with 4 chances to score in this period have on 1. That was by Tikkanen, and the other 3 chances belong to Messier.
The Rangers have only had 5 shots, but 4 of them were real strong, good ones.
One last whack of the puck. One last thump into the pad. 10 shots for the Devils in the period. 5 for the Rangers. 1 goal. That came from Esa Tikkanen on an assist from Wayne Gretzky. Hollywood after this.
Fox Sports coverage of the quest for the Cup, the Stanley Cup playoffs, brought to you by Brewery Fresh Budweiser, who reminds you fresh beer tastes better. By the new Dodge, it's about change. By the Home Depot, where low prices are just the beginning. By Gatorade Thirst Quencher, you don't have to live thirsty. Life is a sport, drink it up. And by the Michelin X1, because so much is riding on your tires.
Glad you could include some sticks and gauze and tape, as well as hard work along with your Mother's Day celebration today. We are glad you've joined us here from the Meadowlands. 1-0, the Rangers ahead. If they go on to register that score, which is not really unusual for this series, they would take the series and move on to the winner of Philadelphia and Buffalo. Your thoughts on the first period, John?
Look at the Devils. They need offense. Only 5 shots from their forwards, 4 of them by Brian Ralston. You dress 12 forwards and only 2 of them had any shots at all. It's just not enough. They've got to find a way to generate offense. And the Rangers defensively, as it's been throughout the series, have not cracked at all defensively.
Well, the biggest problem for the Devils has been that guy, the guy that was born in suburban Philadelphia, has been a part of so much Ranger success. Mike Richter. Scott Stevens joined us between periods. We asked him about that Ranger goalie.
Mike Richter's a great first shot goalie, and he likes to come out over his crease if we can get someone in front of him so he can't get out of his net and then get the shot in net and get some rebounds. Obviously get that next goal, be a big goal first and give us some confidence.
The next goal would either tie the game or put the Rangers ahead 2-0. Scott Stevens drills it back in. Off of Richter's stick to Leach's. From the jam up, Leach able to pick it free. But then Bukaboom has to help. Cut off by Andreychuk. Dave Andreychuk swaggers to the front and put a shot on Richter that was blocked. Bukaboom angled it back off. Penalty time is up to Esa Tikkanen, and he takes it from out of the box. Tikkanen fires, hits the post with the shot, and the rebound was jammed wide by Eastwood. Here is Gilmore up the wing for Bill Guerin. Guerin feeds. Andreychuk couldn't get a shot away, knocked down by Graves. Still they battle down to the ice. Andreychuk again trying to get it loose, but it's Graves there as well. Puck kicked along and squibbed out to Wayne Gretzky, who knocked it away. Now Guerin slid it wide. Niedermayer a shot, and it's held by Richter.
Tikkanen out of the penalty box. The puck went off of Scott Stevens, the defenseman, so no two-line pass. Listen. Goal post right out. The Devils got to the rebound. Brodeur's got position. Messier was waiting for the puck, didn't get it. Tikkanen has an overly hard shot. We've seen it throughout the playoffs. He's beaten Brodeur twice here in this game, scoring once. He did it against the Florida Panthers prior to this series, and a lot of people question Esa Tikkanen, why don't you shoot the puck more during the regular season?
Why doesn't he?
He does. When he answers, you can't understand them, so nobody will ever know.
But ice statistics, the shots 10-5 New Jersey. Scoring chances 4-3, and 3 of the 4 for the Rangers were by Messier. Faceoffs dominated by New Jersey. We'll see if they get this one. It involves Peterson and Eastwood. Colin Campbell has made his choices. Jacques Lemaire gets the last line change. That's the reason that he went for a more offensive lineup. It has not produced a goal yet, but it has produced some opportunities. 11 shots to 5 now, the only shot in the period. Angled back in, Odeline there, and then along for Thomas. Steve Thomas looking ahead. Reed Simpson is out there. The pass came away from Peterson and just lobbed back out by Ulf Samuelsson on defense for the Rangers. Ellett back across. It's guided over to Peterson. Peterson went down. Meanwhile, Karpatsev put it along. Ellett able to keep it alive. Dealt it along further to Peterson. Peterson controlling, jammed it back along off of Karpatsev. Stood up with Simpson. Centering pass came all the way near Peterson, who was headed to the bench.
And he had a broken stick, Mike. He didn't want to play the puck. He dropped his stick. Otherwise, it would have been a penalty.
Alert play by Peterson, and now it is Ellett. Ellett's pass is on the turning stick of Brian Ralston. As John mentioned, he has been the main danger for the Rangers offensively in a game in which the Devils have not scored.
He's always had a great shot, and he's starting to hit the net more with his shot. It's dangerous.
Offside is called.
The Devils are playing the trap in this game, trying to play it stronger than they have in the past in the series. As the Rangers break out, the Devils stopping it right there. Now, the Devils want to break up the second pass. Look at Churla pick his man off right there. That opens up the space for Eastwood to skate. The first pass was already made. When you try to break or make the trap work, you don't allow a second pass. See Churla knock his man down. Eastwood gets to center ice. The puck's in the zone, so the Rangers have broken the trap. Here's Thomas knocking Eastwood down away from the plate to open up ice, and it did open up ice. If the puck was moved to Thomas, he would have been wide open.
Doug Gilmore, who in his lifetime has been a part of international competition. In the World Cup being played today in Helsinki, Sweden has defeated Canada 3-2 in game 1 of a best-of-3. Earlier, Finland defeated the United States 2-0, and so of the 6 teams, Team USA finished number 6. But it's Canada, Sweden in the best-of-3, and Sweden has struck first. Elias angles one off. Gilmore to play that. Fed it back along, and it's Niedermayer backhanding one that shanked right into Richter. Rebound could not be controlled by Andreychuk.
See who was there, though, Mike? Andreychuk's having a regular shift with Gilmore. Rangers changed on the fly to get Gretzky away from Gilmore.
Elias put it on goal, and it was stopped by Richter, and Andreychuk has the stick still hung up in him by Lidster. It was in his skate, and so he couldn't pull away.
Andreychuk is giving his team some courageous play here. The Rangers have talked Wayne Gretzky into changing on the fly. Maybe the world's greatest player of all time. Changing on the fly on the road to get away from Gilmore so the Rangers can have a defensive matchup on them.
This is John McLean. McLean along the boards, worked on by Leach. Puck skipped across. Carpenter, a shot fought off by Richter. Rebound. Battle for Carpenter trying to tuck it in, but it is stopped by the Ranger goalkeeper.
Shots are now 15-5 in favor of the Devils. Mike Richter yet to crack. Rangers by 1. It's 1-0 Rangers. Let's look at the goal crease. The Devils this time do a nice job of staying outside the goal crease. Richter finally makes a save. With the puck in the crease, you then can move into the goal crease. Mike, in watching the tape and discussing the tape of Game 4 of the series, the Devils had a goal disallowed. And now, right now, Don Koharski's on the phone for some reason. Anyway, there was at least 3 other times in watching the tape of Game 4 that if the Devils would have scored, they had men in the crease. Richter ended up making the save, so there was no sense in looking at the situation by the video goal judge. But at least 3 other times, there was a Devil in the crease. And you want to go to the net, but after a while, you have to learn. And it appears as though the Colorado Avalanche do it better than anybody in watching them play and how they stay out of the goal crease. We still have a delay here, and I'm not sure exactly what it is.
Video review has been lost upstairs.
Oh.
They have a technical problem, and they can't get the video. Now, you recall, earlier in the playoffs, remember the situation in Ottawa where it actually turned out to be well, let's watch this one goal that was earlier in the first period. It was by Esa Tikkanen. And he nearly got another one as he wrung one off the post. But there was great controversy then because we've lost our video. Well, now, of course, the first time that it ever happened in the history of a review, now there is a procedure for the replay official to call down to Don Koharski, just like they're doing now, and say, look, we've got a technical problem. We're going to hold on and try and get this fixed, so let's stop the game for a moment.
And so they should. I mean, it was a lesson well learned. The equipment throughout the league in each and every city is uniform. It was all sent out on the same date, so it's all up to date. And if they do have a problem, they have to try and fix it. It's mechanical. There's a number of different looks that you can have, from cameras directly over top of the goal net to the cameras that the fans at home get to watch from our television networks that are here. Hockey Night in Canada is here, showing this game across Canada. We at Fox showing it across the United States. And it looks like they've now had it repaired. And I'm glad they took the time to get it right, to do it. And there's a delay, and it can be aggravating, but it's correct. And now we can move on.
Well, Bill Guerin was in the crease. They lost a goal. Steve Thomas was in the crease. They lost a goal.
Randy McKay.
Yeah, Randy McKay, and that could have been either a kick or in the crease, and it cost New Jersey a goal. And the league wants to make sure that when you leave the arena and you see the total number of goals up on the scoreboard, that it's right and that they're all legit. And they're to be applauded for that. Martin Brodeur hangs on, and there'll be a face-off. Will take place near him. We mentioned those violations of the crease and how it's cost New Jersey.
Steve Thomas. Yeah, he preceded the puck into the crease. No goal. You can see the goal crease itself is a different color than the rest of the ice surface. A little darker. Guerin down there was in the crease before the puck was scored. And here you can see McKay, both his foot in the crease before the puck got there, and he directed it into the net with his skate. So the series sits 3-1 Rangers. The Rangers being outshot here early in the second period, 15-5 total, and down 1-0.
What would you do again, John, to change things on the crease?
I'd try to take a line from there up to that side, to color that a different color on both sides, the near side too. And then if a person's in the crease and the puck goes in here, allow it to stand. It's just an opinion. There's got to be a better way. I think the theory of the league and what they're trying to do is absolutely perfect, or it's correct. But the way in which we're doing this has not been perfected to this point.
Bobby Holik is chased out of the faceoff, so it's McKay in to battle now with Messier, and it's squibbed behind for Scott Stevens. Stevens with a pass on to Thomas. Thomas flipped it further, nubbed on for Bobby Holik, tried to jam it in, and then forehanded it in and caught a man offside. Boy, it's slowed down a lot, hasn't it?
It has, with the delay for the machinery upstairs and making sure it works. Sometimes it takes a while to jumpstart your engines again. And maybe the Rangers don't mind that. It has not allowed the Devils to constantly get their forechecking going. And the Devils are not they're not changing as much in this game at home to react to what the Rangers have on the ice. I thought in games 1 and 2, whenever the Rangers put Gretzky or Messier out there, the Devils always seemed to be reacting and never got their flow going like they could have. Here they're trying to just play their own game, and the Rangers have had to change on the fly a little bit to get away from the matchups somewhat.
This is Messier, Graves, but that went off of Carpenter. Dumped along by Stevens and for Ralston. Pivoting away is Chambers. We mentioned in the first period that life had gone out of the arena. It seems back a little more, but so are the Devils here in the second. Leach's shot got through to Brodeur. Rolled along by Bukaboom. Carpenter couldn't get it any further. Knocked down by Stevens. And helped back out to John McLean. McLean hands to Ralston. Ralston pivots, looks for a pass, dealt it back off for McLean, but it's Carpenter. Carpenter for McLean out in front, and it was paddled away by Richter, and then circling the wagons is Russ Courtnall. And he just plopped it back down the ice. Icing touch-up by Niedermeyer. 15:38 to go in the second. 1-0 Rangers. Now this Pizza Hut game break. Let's go to James Brown at our Fox Television Center in Hollywood.
Hey, Doc, here's something John Davidson can relate to. Take a look at the action near the crease here. Eric Lindros going after the loose puck. Gets in the crease. Steve Shields, who's been doing a great job, takes 240 pounds on his back. They're checking the back out. Hey, John, you played at about, what, 6'3" and about 2 and some change?
Hey, JB, it was 2:028. David Maloney can attest to that. I knew how to deal with the scales, big boy. You know, at one point in the game in Buffalo, the Flyers had outshot Buffalo 17-9. Yet, scoreless. And Steve Shields has really come up big, real big for their club. Lindros, you see the points he's had in the playoffs. Eddie Ronan came off the bench and got the overtime goal for the Sabres to extend the series. Former Montreal Canadian, Eddie Ronan.
If Philadelphia goes on, and in case you're curious, in the regular season, the Rangers had the edge in the season series over Philadelphia 3-2 with 1 tie. Philadelphia had the edge over New Jersey 3-2. Ulf Samuelsson and Jeff Bukaboom have been, in my mind, the two most important Rangers to changing the flow of this series by their hitting. And I'd say the same thing about the Florida series. Even though the big guys have done it offensively, you don't have him and you don't have 23. You don't have this type of an advantage over New Jersey, and maybe no advantage over Florida.
And they play on separate twosomes. Samuelsson plays with Karpovtsev, Bukaboom plays with Leach. So you can constantly have one of the two bigger guys on the ice to take the body.
Ulf Samuelsson plopped one. It's brought back in by Eastwood. Fed to that slot. Robitaille, a shot save made by Brodeur. Worked along now for Dave Ellett. Ellett moving back with it for the Devils. Ellett coasting in, has Andrechuk, gives it to the back. Odeline flips one, and it went wide. Rebound, Gilmore fighting for it, can't get there. A hit by Elias, and still they battle. Eastwood trying to dig in on it. Eastwood still along the boards, pulls free. Jammed it around behind, and it's Ulf Samuelsson there.
You know what's getting lost here, Mike, is Brodeur has made some marvelous saves. He's had the help of a goalpost. Shots are 16-7 Devils, but the Rangers have had the better scoring chances, including the last one by Robitaille.
This one bounced over to be flicked along by Tikkanen, but brushed ahead by Ellett. Devils in the midst of a change, and it's knocked away from McLean. Dropping back is Odeline. Glad you're with us here on Mother's Day. Stanley Cup. New York Rangers ahead in the best-of-7 series, 3-1, and in this game, 1-0. It is quite a war until you get to the very end, and then it becomes even worse in terms of what the toll is that it takes on you. Detroit has made the Final Four. Colorado up over Edmonton 3-1, with Game 5 coming up tonight. Philadelphia ahead of Buffalo, Rangers ahead of New Jersey. Best-of-7 takes 2 weeks, and then you get to move on to the next one. By 8 weeks, you're pretty tired.
Well, and you need the rest. I don't think Peter Forsberg, from what I understand, will be able to play tonight, coming off what they termed as a mild concussion, hitting his head on the ice. Edmonton, with all that speed, has really proven that this is a good young hockey club, giving Colorado a real battle. I really enjoy watching Edmonton play in the playoffs, Mike, with a great speed.
Speed kills, and they've done it. And
God bless Glenn Sather for building teams with speed. Man, it's a wonderful thing to watch.
Here is Carpenter with Gretzky. Knocked away by Flatley. Carpenter went down. Flatley able to step ahead with it now. Flatley, the winger, with Wayne Gretzky this afternoon in a change. Lidster gives it back across to Driver, then Lidster. And it's angled all the way to Niedermeyer. Floated it along. Flatley able to step free to the Gretzky corner, but Daneyko will get there first. Ken Daneyko, the veteran defenseman, 95th playoff game today. That is the 95 that the Devils have played in their history. He's been in every one. Lays it across to Niedermeyer. Then on for Ralston. Ralston brings it ahead.
Who's playing the trap here? I think the Rangers are.
Devils have been trapped before.
There's a penalty to Danico as he gave Graves a shot up high. Devils take the first penalty that they've taken in the game, and the Rangers go to work on the power play. A roughing penalty to Danico.
Ken Danico in the box. It is called roughing at 6:25, and the Rangers get a power play.
Is it the Rangers playing the trap or what? Look at Flatley there. Take the body on Ralston, turned the puck over. Graves moved up the ice and drew the penalty by working along the boards as Danico gave him a shot right up into the kisser. So the Rangers get their first power play.
Devils penalty killing killed off 20 straight in the playoffs, but the Rangers have taken them to task on their power play. 3 for 14. Leach feeds it across. Courtnall a shot. Went up high. Messier swung at it, then got it back over for Graves. Adam Graves holding for the Rangers. Courtnall moving to the front of the net. Messier swirling to the outside. It went off Gilmore. Hacked back in by Driver, but it'll be an offside.
The entire puck has to be over the blue line. The linesmen here have been right on top of it. The Rangers yet to get a shot. 17 seconds in to their power play. The biggest key for the Rangers on their power play is to try to get Brian Leach to quarterback the thing for them. The Rangers were 2 for 11 on home ice on the power play in this series. 1 for 7 here on the road. This being their 8th on the road in this series.
Bruce Driver drifting on back, looking for Messier. John McLean and Carpenter penalty killing, along with Chambers and Stevens. Pass floated off Bobby Carpenter and drilled back down the ice. So Messier sets. Driver and Courtnall and Graves still stay out, along with Brian Leach, as John mentioned. Offside called against the Rangers.
The Rangers trying to get something going on their power play on the rush. And they put themselves offside, showing some good speed. You know, game 4 of the series at the Garden, which the Rangers won. The Rangers had 12 minutes and 5 seconds of power play. The Devils only had 6 minutes. And it told you about the discipline level. Here, the Devils have tried to be much, much smarter, even though Danico just took a reaction penalty, which, with his team already down by 1, he's sitting and hoping that nothing else happens. And then there's the man, as you stated before, that pulls for the officials.
Got a pretty good crew here today. Gary Bettman, the president of the National Hockey League. More news on expansion, but the news is that they have not decided exactly yet. Here's Ralston with a shot that went off the glove of Richter.
And Mike Richter responsible for that. He went to give the puck to his defenseman and missed the handoff, and Gilmore jumped on it. Bad pass by Mike Richter.
Driver tries to work it in, but it's punched on deeper. Richter there, but it's thrown off by Brodeur. Stoppage of play. Brodeur had to turn a little shove to Luc Robitaille, and now is having words with Don Koharski about it.
Watch over on this side. There's Richter to Leach. Bad backhand pass. Brian Leach just looks, and then in the front there's Ralston. And remember we said that Ralston wanted to work on hitting the net more? I don't know if the puck went off the glove of Richter or not. If it did, it was a super save. If not, it's a case of the shooter getting a little bit too fine. Just try to hit the net with your shots, and you never know what happens. Well, that was a good play by both Gilmore and Ralston, taking advantage of the miscue in the Rangers zone.
52 seconds still to go on the minor penalty to Danico. Now they have Messier out as well as Gretzky on the power play.
And you never see this unless it's late in the game and the Rangers are trailing. Coley Campbell, knowing that they have a chance for a 2-0 lead nearing the midpoint of regulation, has Gretzky and Messier on the same power play.
It is Leach. That one went back out and is carried in. Can you replicate, if you're the Rangers, a 7th game scenario, even though you're ahead 3-1 and it's game 5? I mean, can you pretend that, boy, this is desperate, we've got to win it?
Yesterday, the Rangers had a meeting, players only, after their practice up at Rye, New York, where their practice facility is. And Messier, basically, as team captain, told them, listen, go for it. This is it. Play it like it's a game 7. You never give a chance to another team for them to regain composure or regain confidence, momentum, so you go for it. That's what leadership does for your team.
Tikkanen over to Gretzky, fed one in front, and a tough play for Leach to make while turning. Leach got it on back to Karpatsev. Karpatsev hands over to Gretzky. Gretzky just holding now, dealt it on in. Messier to Gretzky, worked it on back. Shovel shot by Karpatsev, and it pinballed off Messier, and now Gretzky again. Karpatsev fires, and that one knocked down by Sean Chambers. Started back out to Carpenter. Very deliberately, the Devils hack it back in, and trouble for Richter, but he's able to cover and get a stoppage of play. Let's check in again with Hollywood and this Stanley Cup update.
Doc, I know you and JD know why Paul Coffey was acquired. Speed from the blue line. Take a look at this speed here. Sets up John LeClair so nicely through the 5-hole. Philly up 1-0. Philadelphia 4-0 in the playoffs when they score first. Back to Doc Emrick and John Davidson.
The native son of Vermont, John LeClair, gets the first goal. I suppose if you're a Philadelphia fan and you've watched that team all season, it is most fitting for this guy, who could become the most prolific left winger that Philadelphia ever had. They still remember Bill Barber.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So do I.
A few times.
Yes, quite a few times. Well, that was a wonderful play by Paul Coffey. Remember Linda Ronstadt? She had the song Blue by You. Well, on that play, Coffey blew by Bugner and had lots of open ice to set up John LeClair. Gilmore's had a strong face-off game. There, Gilmore basically drew the puck back, but with the Rangers on the power play, they outnumbered the Devils to regain the puck.
Out of the box is Danico. Devils trying to muscle it to center ice. Working on, but it is nudged over for Ulf Samuelsson. Banged it back off for Robitaille right through Gilmore. On to Karpatsev. Then up the wing for Mike Eastwood. The big centerman gives over to Churla. Shot that's blocked wide and then covered off the boards by Brodeur.
Rangers power play did not register a shot during its 2 minutes.
Rangers ahead on a goal long ago by Esa Tikkanen, 1-0. The conference finals next Sunday on Fox at 2 Eastern. There's only one certain team in the Final Four, and that has been an impressively hot team in Detroit. The Red Wings have won 6 straight games as Driver fires one that went off a leg, jammed on around, and heavy hit on Ellett. That came from Eastwood. Back on Peterson, gives up to Odeline. Odeline shot one, waffle boarded away by Richter. And slugged back out again by Lidster.
How about in Buffalo with Philadelphia playing Ron Hextall today? Lindros has just scored, from what you understand. 2-0, and Hextall getting it done for the Flyers.
Boy, when you have one goaltender that's gone as well as Garth Snow, there's a risky situation. But if you get a performance out of Hextall, and I guess the Flyers have just really done a number defensively on the Sabres, like doubling and tripling them on shots, then that shows your team wants Hextall to be just as strong too. That makes it look even better if you get into the Final Four. Peterson angling it back in. It's playing loose by Richter. Randy McKay pressed to the boards by Leach. Down to the ice goes McKay, and there'll be a penalty coming up.
And McKay went right for his face to hold on. Leach will go. There was a battle. You know, it was a sloppy dump in by Peterson that Richter couldn't handle. Then there was a battle for the loose puck, and Leach goes to the box. This is a play where Brian Leach moves in, loses his balance, comes back with a stick. You're responsible for it. It went right up into the face of McKay. There was some blood. Brian Leach gets a double minor for high sticking. I think it's a correct call. I also think that throughout the playoffs, we have seen too many clutching the sticks, those types of penalties handed out, and not enough penalties for the use of the stick. Don Koharski makes the correct call. Brian Leach, maybe the best penalty killer except for Mike Richter, sits for a double minor. Mike, I think throughout the playoffs and watching other series, the sticks have been up, and I don't think the referees have been responsible enough in calling what should be double minors for high sticks.
Here you see the attack time out of the 4 previous minutes of the power play. And a critical time in the series and in this game for the New Jersey Devils. They have a long power play. If you score on the first 2 minutes, it drops down to 2 minutes to go, but you can conceivably get 2 goals on this if you act quickly. Ralston, Niedermeyer, Thomas, McLean, and Holik are the 5 Devils. We'll get the Rangers in a moment. Niedermeyer flipping one in front that's spiked away by Ulf Samuelsson. He's there with Karpatsev on defense. Banked back in. Thomas around the boards for Holik. Messier and Eastwood up front for the Rangers as it's dealt back over for Holik. A drive deflected away by Richter. John mentioned he's the best penalty killer. He's been showing it. Feed to the front by Thomas, broken up. Thomas goes down, and Messier brings it ahead. Messier's pass is blocked back to McLean. John McLean moving in, flopped it on the wing. Across, Elias saw it, and it's stopped by Richter. He was leaning back, but is able to cover.
Mark Messier had the puck at center ice, tried to make a play. He wants to kill time. He wants to buy time for his team, but sometimes you're more advised to turn the puck and just throw it down the ice. He's surrounded. He looks like Custer. And instead, he tried to make a play. It didn't work. Now here comes the Devils, 3-on-1. Messier's back, but it's a save by Richter. Didn't know where the puck was. It stayed underneath him as Richter makes another one. John McLean there moved the puck ahead. It got through, and a rolling puck shot that Mike Richter was right there on. Any rebound, the Devils, look at the Devils stay out of the crease. Look at Gilmore, look at Elias. They're staying out of the crease here in this game, and Richter gets it done for his club.
Crowd back in it. Rangers have the lead 1-0 on a goal by Esa Tikkanen from Gretzky, and an assist added to Mike Richter at 7:53. 1 minute gone on the 4-minute power play to New Jersey. It's worked ahead to Elias. Elias tried to work it along, but in the way was Bukaboom. Covering and flipping it along was Graves, and then Bukaboom gets it as far as Odeline. From the high end, you see the power play develop. Puck came across to Elias, then on back for Odeline. Fires, and it hit someone in front. Jammed at by Gilmore, but it's off the back of the goal. Still they dig for it at the half boards. It's Odeline. Odeline rolling it along. Doug Gilmore taking it there. Tried to work it through. Got it through on second effort to Elias. Then around to the opposite side to Ellett. Dave Ellett flipped one, and it went off Richter, and he's able to cover.
I don't know how he saw that. As Andreychuk battles Bukaboom, Andreychuk's the man that's been staying in front. Richter again makes a save, no rebound, getting the job done. Let's go to Hollywood and JB.
Close in call in front of goaltender Mike Richter. 20 shots to 7 New Jersey, but they cannot seem to get one past this guy.
I apologize, we did not go to JB. And Mike Richter, the shot there appears to have deflected somehow and went off of Mike Richter, and he's able to hang on.
So it's Bobby Holik in on the face-off, and he has Bill Guerin to the right, McLean on the left. Niedermeyer and Ralston will be the point men. Mark Messier over getting a test of the stick at the Rangers bench.
And a test of buying some time for the penalty killers. The Rangers have used 5 penalty killers up front. Messier, Eastwood, Graves, Courtnall, and Tikkanen. And here's, you can see Karski saying, let's go, as again, Messier buys more time. I don't know if this is to stop the Devils thrust or to buy Richter time or Samuelson. Look at Messier. Man, he goes any longer, will be. I mean, he's really taking his time here.
I've seen pucks dropped with only one centerman in before. But Don Koharski wasn't going to try that.
Yeah, we'll see that in the playoffs.
Niedermeyer, a shot, save made by Richter. Rebound, put high and wide by McLean. Now Ralston flipping it along. Bobby Holik there. On back to Ralston. Did not keep it in. Well, let's check in with Hollywood. Get this update.
Hey, Doc, take a look at Eric Lindros for the Flyers here as he's attacking. Gets good body position on Daryl Shannon, who has to yank him down. Of course, that's a penalty. Eric Lindros gets the penalty shot. Actually loses control of it right here, but stays calm, working on Shields through the 5-hole. It's 3-0 Buffalo. Make that Philly at that point. Now 3-1 Buffalo. Back to Doc Emrick and John Davidson.
Eric Lindros has taken 2 penalty shots in his NHL career. He scored on one in Washington and now one in the Stanley Cup playoffs. He has taken others in the Olympics. In a shootout against Germany, he failed to score in the first round, but actually won for Team Canada against Germany in the second round of shootout competition in the '92 Olympic Games.
In Maribel, France.
Against a goalie named Helmut de Roff.
There was good skiing in that area too, wasn't there, Mike?
I didn't break a leg anyway. Niedermeyer bringing it on. Niedermeyer trying to get by in front. Save Richter. Rebound. They scramble for it, and it's hooked along to Richter. Worked on back to the point. Now it's Ralston. Ralston slamming one. Score!
Niedermayer, man, does he have speed. Watch him take the puck. He wants it. There he goes. And this will gain the zone. He'll be stopped, but it's recovery. Now, Ralston has to cover up for Niedermayer at the blue line. Niedermayer's deep. Who's there? Ralston. And look at this shot. He just winds up, and he hits the net. I don't know if it was deflected or not in front, but with Niedermayer, the defenseman, in front, a forward's got to cover up. Ralston does that. You see the shot. Elias may have deflected it. I don't know, but it's a power play goal, the second one in the series for New Jersey. This game is tied up at 1. It's a high shot. You don't expect that from the blue line. Richter's down watching. He screamed and doesn't see it until it goes over his shoulder. And for the first time in this building, the mood has changed.
The young man who has been the offensive menace on a team that has not scored much on Mike Richter is given credit for the power play goal for Brian Ralston. It's his first goal in the series, first power play goal of the playoffs, and fourth, as you saw, overall, and he stays out to flip it back in. That goal occurred in the second of the two minors, so the power play has ended with the scoring of it. Now around behind, John McLean had that one knocked away, and it's Gretzky pitchforking it along. Picked up by Esa Tikkanen. Tikkanen hooked off, and then he played it back in. Brodeur out of his goal to get it. Dumped it off the wall. Gretzky tried to get there, but instead it's Daneyko. Ken Daneyko ahead. Big drive, and it went wide, rattling off the glass. Ralston there, sealed up by Brian Leetch. Dumped along now to Tikkanen. Angled back near Brodeur. Taps, and we get a stoppage of play.
An argument here because Brodeur did touch the puck. And I think you'll see the face-off be changed as the two linesmen here are now discussing the mistake. It was called on the near side by the linesman. It was not seen by because the puck was on the wrong side, so we'll see a center ice face-off.
Ralston, an unassisted power play goal, has made that man light up, and that one too. It has been a long haul. 124 minutes and 36 seconds of emptiness for New Jersey. Game tied. Dave Ellett flips it along the boards. Eastwood saw it go back to Lidster. Floated around behind. Unable to get it is David Oliver. First time we've noticed him on the ice in this contest. Young man out of the University of Michigan. They continue to jostle, and it came across to Odeline. Connects with Gilmore. Up the wing, Bill Guerin. Guerin twisting with it. Dealt it over to Gilmore. Gilmore dropped it on back. Peterson a shot. Another shot. Patched up Richter. And he hangs on.
And it's not often do you see the Devils make 3 or 4 passes in a row in this series. Yet here they did. And finally got the good shot, and Richter booted it out again. There was a scrum right up at center ice is where the Devils got the puck working as Robitaille was tugged down. Now watch the passes. They've already made 1. Here's 2. Here's another one. That's 3. And then a good low shot that didn't work. And then the second one through traffic. A much better pass work by the Devils. Here's the battle along the boards as you see Guerin pull Robitaille down, tugging at the back of his jersey. This may be the first game in the series where the Devils are getting some breaks finally. And you see the players staying out of the goal crease on behalf of the Devils. Nobody there. Richter makes another save. Shots 24-7 overall.
Bouncing puck back to Stevens. Angled on to Bobby Holik. Tapped away by Richter. McKay tried to get to the front. Couldn't get a good backhand shot away. And it's sent out of play at the Devils bench. This telecast presented by authority of the National Hockey League, intended for the private use of our audience. Any publication, rebroadcast, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this telecast, including the imposition of a charge for viewing it without the express written consent of the National Hockey League, is prohibited. Shots are pretty impressive. 24-7 New Jersey in this period, 14-2.
And the Rangers hit a goal post as they had an odd man rush. Tikkanen hit the post.
Had it gone in, it would have been 2-0 at that point. Here is Leach twisting in. Dropped it back, but Bobby Holik there to get it for New Jersey. Then along through Thomas. Sent further by McKay, who was bumped into soundly by Bukaboom. Helped along by Richter over to Leach. Leach got it ahead. Graves tried to work it free. Could not. Thomas bumped into, but we get a stoppage of play. And it wasn't offside.
Steve Thomas sees here as he moves into Russ Courtnall. He missed Courtnall, and it's nothing worse than trying to put on the headgear as you're moving up ice. Here's McKay. He finds the puck, and who's there but Bukaboom. Bukaboom's done a wonderful job in the playoffs of stepping up near his own blue line and meeting the other team's player head on, stopping the offensive rush. Bukaboom is throwing more hits than maybe any player in the Eastern Conference throughout the playoffs.
Danico blasted back in. Around it comes. Tripped up Andreychuk, but is able to play it back toward the corner. Lifted along by Samuelsson, and now Niedermeyer. Bounces it over, but it hops over the stick of Danico. Put it away from Gretzky and on to Elias, and then safely on back. Any change in the flow of this game, John?
No, I don't think so. The Devils, the flow is the same, but when the Devils get the puck in the Rangers zone, they're recovering it quite a bit.
Tikkanen a shot, another shot, and that off of Brodeur on the outside of the goal from Flatley.
And then when the Rangers do get a chance, it's a pretty good one.
Niedermeyer ahead, over to Gilmore, and a stop made by Richter. Rebound in front, and it went off Andreychuk, and then it's flown off the high glass. Elias battling, a 1-1 tie. Flatley gives to Ulf Samuelsson, who moves it along. Offside is called.
Well, we talked about the Devils, and we think about their team. Remember Claude Lemieux playing for them? Well, is Esa Tikkanen like a Claude Lemieux? Both marvelous playoff players, both aggravate people. Watch Tikkanen here with a stick through the legs. And he pulls the foot, and then all of a sudden, Andreychuk can't play the puck cleanly. And then Tikkanen here moves over to Niedermeyer, stays with him, stays with him, stays with him. And then all of a sudden there's some offense by the Rangers, a good low shot, and then a rebound attempt. Just another routine shift for Esa Tikkanen getting involved all over the ice surface.
He has 4 overtime winners, and 2 of them have occurred this year. Claude Lemieux has 3. Claude started about the same time that Tikkanen did in the NHL back in the mid-'80s. But Claude Lemieux had a brilliant goal from behind the Ed line against Edmonton to win the 4th game.
How about Mark Messier? 108 playoff goals, never won in overtime. Mario Lemieux had 70 playoff goals, never won in overtime. And even Gordie Howe, who had 68 playoff goals, never had one in overtime.
Here's Lidster, but it's coughed up for McLean. Gives it on to Odeline. Ahead for Ralston. Down to the ice he went. It'll be icing if the Rangers touch. And it is. 4:56 to go. Second period. Dramatic game. 1-1. We don't know where we'll be next Sunday afternoon at 2 Eastern. Wherever it is, it'll be fun. Everybody's got to be somewhere. Why don't you be in front of your set watching Fox? Conference finals, 2 o'clock Eastern next Sunday. In case you're curious, regular season, Colorado won 3 of 4 games from Detroit. Detroit won 2 and tied 2 in the 4 games against Edmonton. Shot by Driver went off of Robitaille. Detroit is waiting the winner of that series. Lidster bangs it along, and it went off the stick of Mike Eastwood. There's the guy in the center that was part of the Devils' success here in '95 and part of tremendous offensive pressure in Colorado. Those are the top 3 scorers in the Stanley Cup playoffs this year, all with the same team.
Joe Sakic with his regular playoff run now, getting all kinds of points. Forsberg hoping to come back early in the week. And how about Patrick Waugh? Boy, he's like a quarterback back there. He's running around the ice. He's like a nomad, finding the puck, moving it to his forwards, leaving the crease all the time, taking advantage of a lot of space. And in Detroit, I congratulate Mike Vernon for his fine goaltending and helping his club get to the Final Four.
Mike Vernon, the guy who was with Detroit, got them to the finals in '95, shared the duties with Chris Osgood much of the year, but it's been almost all him except for 10 playoff minutes. Jabbed at right off of Brodeur, and it's played back ahead now for Thomas. Steve Thomas one-on-one with Bukaboom, trying to swagger by, and a shot went wide. Now it's Leach. 4 minutes, 10 seconds. Second period, game tied at 1. Russ Courtnall angled one that came over for Chambers. Double team, though. But the Devils are able to outman, and it's Holik connecting up with Thomas. Turning it on to Randy McKay. McKay drops it ahead for Thomas. Got it over to Holik. Holik with a shot, and it went off a leg and then popped wide. Niedermeyer jammed it around. Thomas trying to take it. Wedged by Graves. The two go down in a heap. Dug out by Bobby Holik. On him is Bukaboom. Holik couldn't get to the front. Thomas to the back to Niedermeyer. Niedermeyer a shot, and it went off a stick and then wide. Stevens one-timer and a save made by Richter. Now Courtnall looking ahead for Gretzky. Nudges it to him. He twists, but the Devils were in the midst of a change, and so Elias was close. Gilmore, but offside was Andrechuk.
And Devils continue to start getting to loose pucks. Again, let's watch Courtnall here on the Rangers breakout coming out of their zone. Watch Courtnall on the reverse angle look. Watch him take Steve Thomas, get in his way. Thomas can't go through Courtnall, and you see Bukabu move up the ice. That's identical to what we showed in the first period when Shane Churla got in front of one of the Devils players and Mike Eastwood fired the puck up ice. So you can see how the Rangers have devised their game plan to work on the breakout for the trap. There's Courtnall, there's Thomas, there's the collision, and all of a sudden the lane is wide open.
Andrechuk pitchforks it right back in, and it is Karpatsev to take it. Karpatsev got out of the way of the hit of Gilmore, played it on to Flatley, and Flatley lobbed it back down the ice. And it's just wide of the crease, though there's an icing touch-up. Puck sent from the defensive side of the red line back to the other end and touched by the opposition first.
These teams very close in age. The Rangers average 28.6 years of age per player. The Devils 27.9. The Rangers with 13 players 30 years of age or older. The Devils have 10 30 years of age or older. One of them being Doug Gilmore. Face-offs, he's had a hot day. Scoring-wise, he has not. He has not been able to get any scoring going.
In the first period, Mike Eastwood was 0 for 3, but he's perfect in 7 in the second. Daneyko has shot off the glove of Richter, and he dives out and then is able to jab it ahead to Gretzky. And Wayne Gretzky played one that was just too far for Samuelson. Now Ken Daneyko turning with it, shifting from defense to offense. It's tipped back in by Andrechuk. Samuelson has his stick broken, comes to the bench on a change. Andrechuk put it in front, and it's turned aside by Richter. Daneyko bumped it back to the corner. Karpatsev to take it there, off of Gretzky, and outlet it to Asa Tikkanen. The dangerous man fires again, and it's blocked down by Brodeur.
His long shots are dangerous shots. Lemaire has changed and taken Guerin off the Gilmore-Elias line.
Oh, another shot, knuckleballed off of Flatley in front of the goal.
And put Andrechuk on the line, Mike. So the offensive line for the Devils is Andrechuk with Elias and Gilmore. That's the #1 offensive line, yet not able to score.
Couple of guys who played together as members of the Toronto Maple Leafs, Gilmore and Andrechuk. Coming up on the new Dodge Intermission Report, JB Dave and Coyote center Jeremy Roenick will bring you the scores and highlights from around the league. They'll also take a look at the entire playoff picture. That's all coming up during the second intermission. Good to have old JR around today, isn't it?
Yeah. Trying to get himself ready so he can play some golf with a bad knee. Coley Campbell's club, their keys to counterpunch. They've done that a little bit. The puck's been in their zone a lot. They've had chances. Brodeur's made 4 or 5 great saves, plus a goal post by Tikkanen. Their power play. The Rangers wanted a power play. They've only had one in the game. Did not get a shot on it. Richter is obviously a key for the Rangers. He's been solid again, stopping 27 of 28 to this point. And patience. Been a lot of patience by the Rangers. But the Devils have outshot the Rangers 28-10 to this point. It just seems, though, when the Rangers do get a shot, it's a pretty good one.
Driver hacks it around, and it goes over near Ellett. Tried to tip it further, was able to control despite the... Pitches it back in. Bruce Driver turning with it there. Driver jamming it along to Shane Churla. Churla yanked it through. Ellett a shot, and it's trapped and held by Richter.
It seems like the Devils in this second period have a game plan where they're going to throw the puck into the Rangers zone, cross corner slowly. In other words, if you're skating down the left wing, throw it in the other way. Here's the Devils moving down their left side of the ice. They're going to cross corner the puck slowly. The puck sits there, and Driver's forced to make a play quickly as he's being harassed, and you're going to see the Rangers here not moving the puck out of the zone. The recovery, the shot on Richter, he has to hang on. and now there's a face-off in the Rangers zone, and you never know what happens. But we're seeing a lot here in the second period. Cross-corner dump-ins by the Devils slowly.
Strategy change from games 3 and 4 in New York.
It seems as though the Devils think they're a bigger team, and probably are, so why not throw it in and then go in and grind, wear down the other team, and get the puck back.
Bobby Holik, shot deflected away by Bukaboom. Now it's Bobby Holik circling again. Holik lays one around. Thomas back for Holik, but it's tipped away from him by Courtnall. Holik put it off the outside of the goal. Chopped at by Thomas, but he fails. Still along the boards, it's jammed off Courtnall and brought back ahead by Adam Graves. Graves drops it on. Brian Leetch cruising in. Leetch circling, looking for a pass. Got it on to Courtnall. Courtnall centered, and it went off a skate back to the point. Bukaboom shooting, and a save made by Brodeur. Now it's Courtnall shooting another one off a skate. Chopped at by Leetch. Still they battle for it. Leetch outdueled by Thomas, who got it to center ice. Still a tangle back between Graves and Bobby Holik, I believe. Yeah, that's the case. They shove at one another. Meanwhile, the puck is about 150 feet away from them, and we get an icing touch-up by Bukaboom.
Maybe some of the best forecheck or down low action by the Rangers here in the second period, led by Brian Leetch, who I think is trying to get something going offensively because he was in the penalty box for the Devils' goal. Here's Graves and Holik. Holik holding Graves down. Graves battling back. You worry about the skates as they are razor sharp. No penalties called. Away from the play. Broken stick, obviously, and that's being cleared up. But again, in the last 2 or 3 shifts I've seen of Brian Leetch, he was in the box when the Devils scored the power play goal to tie this game up at 1, and you sense that Brian Leetch wants to get that back for his team, and he's trying to make things happen deep in the offensive zone.
Leetch at the bench resting. Karpatsev on with Ulf Samuelsson on defense for the Rangers. Ken Danico matched up on defense for the New Jersey Devils along with Scott Niedermayer. Puck came back. Ulf Samuelsson, a shot, and it was deflected and went just wide of the cage. Sped along by Flatley, but taken by Niedermayer. Banged it back off, hoping for McLean, but he was closed off by Tikkanen. Ulf Samuelsson lobs it back in, and we get an offside call.
Once you're in the zone, it's so hard to get back out. People are clutching and grabbing. Tikkanen first came over to Canada and played some Tier 2 hockey, which is a form of junior hockey in Regina, Saskatchewan. Took all kinds of penalty minutes, and then went back over to Finland and played there for 4 years before, again, coming back to Canada to play for the Edmonton Oilers in the National Hockey League. And I think he had a good feeling of what hockey was like in North America before he came back because of the 1 year he played in the province of Saskatchewan. And we all know that he's been a very durable, intelligent playoff player. He also played for the Devils at one time.
Very short period of time. Was troubled by a knee problem, which has bothered him all along, but certainly has had no effect in these playoffs. Ahead now, Andreychuk fires, and that one clutched and held by Richter with 19 seconds to go in the second period.
The Devils keeping this offensive line together. Eliash, who's a finesse player, Gilmore, along with Andreychuk, and Andreychuk had the shot. As this game's moved along, Andreychuk is playing more and more and more. He'll stay wide. He's a right winger who loves to stay wide. He can be a left winger and play the left side. And here's the long shot that Mike Richter held on to. Messier will now take the defensive draw with only 19 seconds to go in the second period. And Messier's at his best when the faceoffs are big, and this is a big one.
Won by the Rangers on Richter and played behind a Leetch. 13 left in the period. A low-scoring series, and it's 1-1 as we near the end of the second. Heavy hit by Scott Stevens takes the helmet off Leetch. Blasted back along by Eliash, and that's it on the period.
It's a good hit, clean hit. Brian Leetch tried to find room. He had to gain center ice to dump the puck in, and he paid a price to do it. You'll see Leetch reach for the puck. There's Scott Stevens, shoulder right into Brian Leetch, and we should have a great third period.
Should we ever? The end of the second. Rangers 1, Devils 1. James Brown, Dave Maloney will be coming along from Hollywood after these messages and a word from your local Fox station.
Fox Sports coverage of the quest for the cup, the Stanley Cup playoffs. Brought to you by Sprite. Image is nothing. Third for a cleaner running engine. By Speed Stick, official deodorant sponsor of the NHL. By Jeep, makers of the Jeep Grand Cherokee, Cherokee, and Wrangler. And by Bud Ice, official beer sponsor of the NHL. Drink Bud Ice, but beware the Penguins.
On Mother's Day from East Rutherford, remembering for our crew, Faith Grossman, Boca Raton, Florida, June Zients, Coral Springs, Ruth Zients in New York, Diana Davidson, Bedford, New York, Florence Emmerich, Marion, Indiana, her husband Charles on their 56th anniversary. One of our most loyal Fox employees, Larry Lancaster, not with us today. His mother, Sandra, hospitalized in Royal Oak. For her, our prayers, and to all of them, our thanks and best wishes. We hope it's a good day for you. Boy, it's been a good hockey game, 1-1. Going into the third, John.
It's really developed into one of these games where the Devils know that it's a desperate game for them, facing elimination. They threw 20 shots at Mike Richter in the second period. That's a franchise record for them regarding the playoffs. Most shots ever in a period. Finally got one on the power play past Richter. And now the Rangers, they're one goal away possibly from eliminating the Devils. They're in a position on the road where they're in good shape. However, the Devils have carried the play. It's been Mike Richter once again that's given the Rangers a chance to try and put the series away.
Let's take a look at the Bud Ice statistics. Mike Richter has been heavily involved, 20 shots in that period. He got all but one. 30-11 overall in the game for New Jersey. Scoring chances pretty narrow, 10-8. Face-offs, the Rangers have come from well down to take the advantage in that department now. We have no carryover penalties nor power plays. Will this be this team's last period of hockey? Or will they force overtime? Or will they win from that man's team and go on to force a sixth game in New York on Tuesday? Chambers to start it out. Bobby Holik tried to flip it ahead, bounced away off of Leach. And then Holik again back to Chambers. Sean Chambers circle to Stevens. Pass is chipped back in by Bobby Holik. Big Jeff Kugaboom back to play. Angles it off of Russ Courtnall's stick, and it's brought on by Messier. Headmans to Graves. Graves shooting! Juggled, but then grabbed by Brodeur.
Rangers get the first shot of the third period. Graves forced wide. That's the goaltender's responsibility to make sure you certainly stop the shots from the bad angle. Here's the Rangers working the puck out of their zone. Messier, Courtnall, and Graves. And the Devils back check right through the middle to make sure that's closed off. Look how that's closed off. And Brodeur just able to move out and play the angle. Big catching glove alongside the goal pad, like a big old basket. And Brodeur hangs on. He has not been overworked. Again, going into this game with a bad cold. Felt a little bit tired yesterday. Didn't have a full practice.
It is Gretzky with a pass tipped by Danico, shoveled by Ulf Samuelsson and picked off by Andrichuk. Andrichuk fed it ahead, brought on by Elias. And then Karpatsev. Niedermeyer hit pretty well by Ulf Samuelsson, dug out, but it's broken up, and the Rangers hurry to a 2-on-1. There'll be a penalty coming up to the Devils. On with it is Flatley, gives it across, and a shot is blocked down by Danico.
Penalty upcoming. Niedermeyer will go. He was involved with Ulf Samuelsson way back behind the play as the Rangers had the 2-on-1, which didn't develop into anything. Niedermeyer is deep. He takes the hit from Ulf Samuelsson. Is it a reaction penalty? They battle one-on-one here. And, oh, there's a reaction penalty, and that's a bad one. You can't take a bad... Reaction penalties, it's a frustrating game, but you've got to skate away. This is the focus of the playoffs. In fact, Scotty Niedermeyer told us before the game, focus, focus, focus. He got caught here with a reaction penalty. Rangers have a power play within the first minute of this third period.
Devil discipline had been virtually flawless all afternoon until that example. So another dramatic point in this game. The Devils try to kill the penalty. The Rangers try to break the tie as Colin Campbell checks the scoreboard clock. It is McLean hooking one off of Courtnall to Leach. Leach gives it back across. Mark Messier looking over the traffic, shooting, and it's deflected wide. Chambers banked it back off. Messier there, got it on to Graves, and the backhander went flying by Brodeur and wide. Played back to Leach again. Leach flipped it, deflected, and saved by Brodeur as Graves got a piece of it, but Brodeur did too. Through Courtnall, corralled by Graves and played on back to Leach.
Adam Graves has become the dangerous man on the Rangers power play, allowed to stand in front.
Poked away by Chambers and retreating his driver to hold and look. Got it on to the turning stick of Messier, then right back to Driver again. Big crowd chanting defense as on comes Driver. Brodeur stops. Stevens blasts it back off the glass and out. Leach's pass floated by a couple of anticipating Devils to Gretzky. Gives over to Graves. Graves with a shot and a save made by Brodeur. Now Doug Gilmour, shorthanded for New Jersey, cruising with it. Gilmour moving it back to neutral ice, shaking his way back around, turning and twisting away. What a spirited penalty-killing exhibition of skating and stick handling by Gilmour. Ralston dumps it in, and the crowd appreciates it.
So Ralston and Gilmour go off with 30 seconds to go, and the Devils have fresh penalty killers up front.
Leach bringing it back. Brian Leach cruising in. Got it onto Robitaille. Banked one that went off Odeline. Leach trying to turn behind. Odeline working on him as it's over to Tikkanen. Then back on the point to Bukaboon. Shovels it back over to Tikkanen. It is Karpetsap, I beg your pardon. It's Tikkanen shoots one that's knocked down. Another shot! And Brodeur covers and play is stopped.
Earlier, Doug Gilmour showed a strong part of his game, and that's being smart with the puck when you penalty kill. No sense in throwing it away. Turning sharply. That's 3 real sharp turns in the neutral zone, and the Rangers did not want to be careless and take him down to take a penalty of their own. The Rangers finally get themselves a scoring chance. As you can see, there's 3 Rangers on that side, 2 Devils. Robitaille will be open, and you can see the 3-on-2 on the one side of the ice. The puck gets through, and Robitaille gets stopped before he got dumped. Brodeur did a good job in making the save.
9 left on the power play. In 1989, Bobby Holik was watching Doug Gilmour play for Calgary in the middle of the night in Czechoslovakia. His dad was coach of the local team. They had the only satellite dish in town, and he said the game started at 4 in the morning. Shot is saved by Brodeur, and it's jammed away to the corner.
That was a good save because the Rangers again got the deflection of the point shot. That year when Gilmour won the cup, they beat Montreal Canadiens.
It is fed back to Samuelsson. The teams are at full strength and tied 1-1. Eastwood crossing, taken away by Ralston and steered back out to Gilmour. Looking for wingers, doesn't have them yet. Gilmour turning with it now. Dealt it back in deep to Dave Andreychuk playing a regular shift. Andreychuk out front, backhander saved by Richter. A patented Andreychuk move. Back ahead with this now, lobbing it in was Flatley. Martin Brodeur yanks it on his backhand around to Lyle Odeline. Odeline stepped in too, but then it's Elliott. The Rangers have Ken Germander out. He's headed to the bench on a change. Messier is out along with Russ Courtnall. It's taken by Graves and handed to Messier again. Messier with a shot, blocked away by Elliott. Chipped along by Graves. Brodeur saw it bounce over his stick, but Odeline covered. Odeline wrapped it back off. Elias tried to finesse it through, couldn't. On back to the point. Bukaboom, a shot, knocked down, rebounds, right over the end line. Brodeur got a piece of it, and it squibbed dangerously on the line, but did not go across.
This has been the best line for the Rangers in the game. Here in the third period, Messier, Graves, and Courtnall flying. Brodeur had the puck go behind him, but along the goal line, not over it. Oh, this is close. Brodeur, Messier, the puck gets loose, slithers across the goal line, stayed out, and then was swept away by the Devils defending their zone. There's Messier staying outside the goal crease, chopped at the puck, very nearly, and Brodeur didn't panic. This game is, it's inches, isn't it, Mike? It's just inches. Inches and inches.
That didn't get a no, baby. At least 1 or 2. Pass ahead, ricocheted off of Thomas, right near Richter. Richter flips it off the wall. It skipped along to McKay. McKay dropping it on in. Thomas centers. Holik cycling with it there, but ran into traffic of Bukaboom. Courtnall drops and Leach takes. Back up off the stick of Messier and back down. Sean Chambers outstrode Messier, and it's passed along to Stevens. Guided ahead on the touch pass to Bobby Holik. 80-footer is trapped and held by Richter and play stop. Let's check in for another Stanley Cup update, JB.
Doc and JD, you don't see my guy Hextall do this very often. Take a look at Randy Burge. Shoots it, stopped by Hextall. Didn't clear it very well. Burge right there drives home the power play goal. 4-3 Philly in Buffalo. Let's take it back to Doc Emrick and John Davidson.
So a nail biter up at Marine Midland Arena, and the same here.
Ekstall not playing for quite a period of time. You can be rusty with your timing, and maybe he took a chance there and shouldn't have in handling the puck. And credit to Buffalo Sabres. I mean, they just won't die. They just won't stop. Battled back, 4-3 Philadelphia there in the third period. And here we've had a pretty eventful beginning to this third period, almost 5 minutes in. I think the best line on the ice here in the early portion of the third period has been the Mark Messier line with Graves and Courtnall with a lot of speed on the line.
It's been mostly Bobby Carpenter against that man Gretzky this afternoon after Doug Gilmour had that task earlier. Now Lidster with a pass on to Gretzky. Got it ahead for Mike Eastwood. His pass is checked away by Carpenter and just lobbed back in.
Same defensive pair, though, for Gretzky that he's seen the entire series, and that's Kenny Danico and Scotty Niedermayer.
It's knocked away from Danico. Here's Tikkanen moving in, twisting with it now, rolling it behind. Gretzky right there to get it. Threw one in front that shanked on back to Driver. Gives it across Lidster. Then over for Gretzky. Then back to Lidster again. Bounced it around behind Tikkanen. Shanked it back over near Gretzky. Floated away by Carpenter. Brought back up by Ralston. Hands it on across to John McLean. Hands it on to Niedermayer. Trying to break by. He's around in front. Sam Richter on Niedermayer as Driver fell to the ice. Puck played back out. And here's Gretzky one-on-one with Ellett. Fakes the drive. Now shovels one that's patted away by Brodeur.
Spectacular move by Niedermayer. Spectacular save by Richter.
Attack met by resistance. Clock stopped. They'll get a breather. 14:19 to go in the third, and it's a 1-1 tie.
Niedermayer moved in. He knew the stick of Leach was the only thing to stop him, so he put his left leg out to shield the puck, and in doing so, Leach ended up going down. Look at this, or Driver, I apologize. There's the left leg out, and there's Richter making the save. Niedermayer made a move and shot the puck almost too quickly. You'll see Driver end up here falling. The left leg of Niedermayer makes the play on the stick of Driver, and then Niedermayer really didn't use all the time that he had. He could have gone wider. Look at the time and space. Instead, he just tried to put the puck through the legs of Richter, and there he was.
Karpatsev shot deflected wide. Samuelson around behind. Eastwood stood up, peels off, shoots one. It's paddled away by Brodeur. Now Robitaille wedged off. Puck brought back out by Doug Gilmour. Moving along with Guerin. Gilmour crossing, fed it to the back. Lyle Odeline there. One-timer in front, and it hopped off Karpatsev. Now Churla, outdone on that one by Gilmour, but it's spiked back for Ellett. Flipped one that's off a stick, and then a second stick, and then the Robitaille brings it back for the Rangers. Robitaille on, wristed a riser that went into the seats, and play is stopped.
As a goaltender at this level, instincts and reading plays mean so much, as Peterson and Churla. Now Odeline goes at Churla. I think Churla wants here to bait and get the Devils to take a penalty. The Devils would like to do the same thing to Churla. But anyway, talking about Brodeur and his goaltending, sometimes as a great goaltender, and Brodeur and Richter both are, you can be down waiting for a shot playing the percentages. And a shot by Eastwood from the near side went through traffic. Brodeur was down, I believe, waiting before the shot was ever taken. And right through traffic came the shot, and Brodeur just calmly stopped it. It hit him. He was there waiting. That's how smart goaltenders are here at this level.
Martin Brodeur poised now for another face-off. And it will involve Mark Messier and Bobby Holik. Leach, one-time shot, went off a stick and then slid wide. Stevens connects back up with Thomas, then on to Bobby Holik. Holik walking it on. Holik, weak shot, picked up, thrown on by Bukaboom. Missed by a couple of Rangers, then scooped on to Messier. Messier for Graves, bumped off by Holik. Bobby Holik jostled by Graves, puck up the boards. Leach a shot, swatted away by the glove of Scott Stevens, taken away by Messier, then along for Russ Courtnall. Courtnall trying to twist away from Thomas. Stevens beats him, and the pass came to Holik. Holik lifts, but it went off Graves. Coverage by McKay, and it's bounced ahead now for Thomas. Now McKay bringing it in, on to Bobby Holik. Fires, and a save made by Richter.
No rebound. The Devils drive to the net. Holik's been shooting a lot in this game. He's had Thomas and McKay as his wingers. They drove to the net. No goal.
So 7:01 played. Third period game tied at 1. Dave Andreychuk got it through. Gilmour, a shot and a save made by Richter with the stick. And so Niedermayer Tikkanen with a goal in the first period on a long pass from Gretzky. Ralston on a power play slam from 55 feet in the second from the point position. Those are the goal scorers. Niedermayer with a pass, cut off by Ulf Samuelsson, lobbed off the stick of Andreychuk and out.
Face-offs in a 1-1 game, third period. Everybody has to be responsible. Eastwood and Gilmore. Watch Gilmore get loose and go to the net. Eastwood and Gilmore. Gilmore helps win the draw and sneaks in behind. Now he's wide open, takes the shot. Actually not wide open, Samuelsson got there, but you'll see Gilmore pull it back, the puck that is, and dart in. And just a split second is all it took for Doug Gilmore to get the puck in the shot. Richter has been aggressive staying out. There he closed everything out, put the puck right into the corner. No rebound in front.
Well, you talk about an effort. Dave Andreychuk, cast off 4 days ago, is now playing a regular shift. Tikkanen a shot, knocked down by Brodeur. He got a glove on it.
And for the Devils, a regular shift is every 4 lines. They've dropped to 3 lines here. Guerin has hardly seen the ice. Simpson has hardly seen the ice. And Andreychuk, it's an amazing story what he's been able to do here this afternoon for his team.
Niedermayer on now to Andreychuk. Andreychuk had it knifed away. And it's controlled by Driver. Pass picked up, though, feathered on by Elias. Andreychuk turning with it. Lofted it back in, but it's steamed back out by Flatley. The Devils have made a defensive change and go down to play this one. And there is an icing with 11:48 left in the third period of a 1-all tie.
The puck was very close to center ice, yet it's been called icing. Gretzky appealed with one of the linesmen, but the call's made. And another face-off now in the defensive zone. Mike Richter's even over talking to one of the linesmen now as to why it was icing. I think for the Rangers, they should just focus in at the job at hand. As Jacques Lemaire looks on, he's gone with 3 lines.
Jacques was saying yesterday, if you would have told me I would only give up 8 goals to the Rangers in 4 games and asked me if I'd take it, I say yes, and fast. Well, out of the 8, 2 have been into the empty cage. 3 prior to today on the power play. Off this tie-up. It is Lidster jamming it around behind, and then Driver. Driver tried for Robitaille. Ralston trying to work it further and can't, and Bill Guerin drops back. 35 shots to 20. The Devils with the advantage. A 1-1 tie. The Devils must win or their season is over. A 6th game would be in New York on Tuesday. Bill Guerin moving in, twisting. Checked by Lidster for Ellett. Couldn't control. Fed back out again by Lidster. And going down for it is Odeline.
Peterson and Guerin getting a shift. They have not had much ice for the Devils.
Ellett saw one go out of play.
Sorry, on the ice with Holik. There's been some close calls, though, here in the first half of this third period. Rangers have had 9 shots through the first half. That was one of them by Mark Messier. Another look at it, very, very close. The Devils have now totaled 7 in this period, and the best by Niedermayer, as you saw there. He was able to slip in behind everybody. So credit to goaltenders. It continues to be a goaltending show in this series.
Sean Podine has made it 5-3 Philadelphia in the third period.
We've heard that Matthew Barnaby left with a knee injury.
And has just gotten back to the bench.
Oh, back to the bench.
So another update on that. Well, that is a guy that they cannot miss. It is Messier with a man breaking. Graves wide with the shot.
Graves.
Stevens was on him and leaned him down.
He leaned him down and saved maybe a goal.
Thrown by Messier, taken by Chambers. Into Messier. Back near Chambers, but Messier battles and Chambers wins momentarily, dropping it to the corner for Stevens, who crossed. Stevens tripped up, but is back up to play. An offside stops the clock with 10:31 to go in the third.
Adam Graves appealing to the referee, wondering why no call on the 2-on-1. See Graves here. The Devils look like they have it covered now with the puck bouncing away from Stevens. Graves goes to the net. He's twisted off balance by the stick through the legs of Scott Stevens, and Graves could not get the clean shot. Don Kaharski lets it go. We move on with 10:31 to go now in the third period. Rangers a 3-line game trying to find, I credit the Rangers with Nicholas Sundstrom not in the lineup. He plays in every possible role. The Rangers have found a way so far today to get by without Sundstrom in their lineup. They deserve a lot of credit. John McLean was very fortunate that it was not seen more clearly. The players move on, but the Rangers to this point as a team have found a way to have people step in on the Gretzky line.
It is Niedermeyer lifting it back in and off the glass. Chopped into the seats, and play once again is stopped.
I think with Andreychuk in the lineup for the Devils, they don't have anybody that's not available. The Rangers do not have Sundstrom, fractured arm in this series. Bill Berg, a fractured leg in the previous series with the Panthers, and also Alexei Kovalov not in the lineup. He had major knee surgery 5 months ago. The Rangers without 3 of their players.
He's been skating, and every time a guy skates, the question is always asked, is he coming back this year?
If the Rangers happen to move on in the playoffs, another round perhaps, then there could be the possibility. It would have to be cleared by the Rangers doctors, Alexei Kovalov, and Alexei's agent, and before he's able to play. I saw him skate last week, Mike, and he was flying, and I mean flat out dancing on the ice. But that's not contact either.
This may be. Gretzky bringing it ahead. Down to the ice he goes. Flatley curling around behind. Tried to center, could not. The water bottle drops down on the outside back of the net. Meanwhile, it is jammed over to Gretzky again. Fed one out in front. Couldn't be reached and controlled by Tikkanen. Brought out by Ralston. Ralston starting up the wing, and Kovalov. Yeah, right. It's on the brain. Karpatsev defending him. Well, Kovalov would have if he were there. Chased down by Ellett. Swept away from the on-rushing Tikkanen.
Maybe it was just Niedermeyer heading up ice. He wears number 27.
Now for the Devils, Phil Russell, dropping it on back to Dave Lewis. On ahead with this is Elias, and he's pawed down by Driver. Churla hands it across. Angled out by Lidster, taken. Here's a 2-on-1. It's Eastwood cruising in for Robitaille, and the pass was elevated. He had to knife it down and couldn't keep.
Mike, that's got to be at least 5 2-on-1s in this game for the Rangers, and they've not capitalized. And I think mostly as Richter throws the puck into the stands off his arm, mostly because their passes are not good across. The shooter with the puck should take the shot, not the pass.
John, we often see coaches looking up at the scoreboard to check the clock. Why?
Well, you're always thinking your next move. How much time's left? How long this shift will be? Who's going to be on the ice next? So far here in the third period, the Rangers have outshot the Devils 9-5. And the Rangers have had 2-on-1s that they're not counting or not clicking with.
Stevens shot knocked down. Bouncing puck. After it is Randy McKay. McKay dealing with Messier. Got it out to Thomas, and the shot was wide of the waving hand of Bobby Holik. Around behind Thomas, crashing out in front. Holik tied up by Courtnall, and back on now comes Graves. Adam Graves ahead, dealt it to a vacant wing.
Devils in front of the net trying to find pucks. Their sticks are being held.
Bobby Holik on now to McKay, and backhanded in. And then Graves again. Across to Courtnall. Had to slow up. Fans with the sing-song "Let's Go Devils" chant. Down to under 8:10 to go in the third period. Close-in plays by both teams. But the goaltenders have been outstanding. Richter and Brodeur, 35 shots Devils and 20 for the Rangers. Brodeur turned that one aside. Odeline dropped it off the boards. First one there, though, is Churla, but he put it into the seats off a Devils stick.
And we talked earlier about the Rangers with their 2-on-1s. When you have a 2-on-1 and you're the one, your job is to make sure the other man does not get the puck. This guy's job is to try and make the play or shot, and he belongs to Brodeur, the goaltender. This is a reverse angle look at it. You see Brodeur, and you see the pass. The pass was too high, the shot wasn't taken, and Odeline, the defenseman, his job is to stop the pass. He did so. He got a piece of the puck with his stick. However, the pass was too high, and the Rangers with the 2-on-1 ended up not getting a shot. You've got to, I would think, on a 2-on-1 shoot. We saw Tikkanen do it earlier, and he hit a goal post.
But the odd man rush is 6-3 New Jersey. Gretzky off this faceoff. It's blocked away by Brodeur, helped around by Niedermeyer, off of Ralston, lobbed ahead and back in, and we get an offside call. Let's check in at Hollywood with James Brown and this Stanley Cup update.
Doc and JD, Eric Lindros has played a sensational game. He won the faceoff early on this play, jumps through traffic, chases down the puck, throws it to the net. Hodin is there to punch it in. Philadelphia on top 5-3. Take it back to Doc Emrick and John Davidson.
I mentioned odd man rushes. If I said 6-3 Devils, obviously I was wrong. It's 6-3 in favor of the Rangers. Some of those have been 2-on-1s, which are really tough, as we saw with Odeline getting a piece of it with his stick. Otherwise, Robitaille, with that great hand-eye coordination, would have been able to knock it down and time it properly to get a shot on goal.
And one of the goals in this game, the Rangers goal, was Tikkanen on a breakaway. You term that an odd man rush on the pass from Gretzky.
Gretzky this time bounced one that Brodeur shunted away. Ken Danico turns, under 7.5 to play, third period. Karpatsev turning, playing it back out across 2 lines to Flatley, and play is stopped. Well, let's turn the clock back. Period 1. The pass from Wayne Gretzky to Esa Tikkanen, and bingo, up top. Richter also got an assist, and then on the power play, Brian Ralston just bashed one.
Went right through everybody to the top corner. The only 2 goals, and we've had 56 shots on goal in the period. It's been a goaltender series. Both have been spectacular, and their show has not stopped. Talking about Brodeur and Richter.
The 2 times that the Devils have lost, once in the playoffs to the Rangers, and another time to the Colorado Avalanche in the regular season. It is Danico. And we get a stoppage of play on a hand pass, and so a neutralized faceoff.
1 goal game, huh?
Another
Gretzky said yesterday he expects a 2-1, 3-2 game. So far we're tied up at 1. The Rangers have had actually some trouble scoring in third periods. The last time they scored more than 1 goal in a third period of a game was 3 months ago, February 8th, against the Islanders. 35 games since. However, their defensive play, goaltending have kept them in it. It's a 1-1 game, and the Devils, I mean, they have to be in a situation here as a team where they need the goal to win. They can't afford a mistake to allow 1 goal, or it could be the season for them. So it's a real pressure situation for the Devils more than the Rangers right now.
Scott Stevens having some trouble with Messier, but got it on to Steve Thomas. Then it's picked up by Holik again. Looking ahead, got it on to Randy McKay. Onside play, shoots one! And it's blocked high by Richter, and coverage by Messier. Messier's pass tipped by McKay, brought on by Leach. Leach cruising in, wrist shot, went off the defense. Now the Devils take their turn, a 2-on-2. Back ahead comes Holik shooting, and a save made by Richter. Thomas trying to turn, and no luck.
Holik had Mark Messier back there. I don't know why he didn't try to make a move on Messier. That's a forward playing defense. Why take the long shot? Challenge him.
It is Leach stepping away from Andrechuk, gets it on to Messier. Messier cruising, wrist shot, bad stop, rebound, and it bounced loose in front. Now picked up by the Devils if they hurry an odd man rush. Brought on by Patrick Elias with Lidster back. Elias, a shot, it got the glass. Man, oh man, the fire wagon is out now.
Yeah, Messier's line on the ice has been the Rangers' best line, and Brodeur had to make a rebound save that was sensational. The Rangers got there for the rebound shot.
Odeline on to Doug Gilmour. Gilmour the pass that went off Andrechuk and is taken by Lidster. Given over to Driver. And Driver flipped it out, taken by Lyle Odeline. Odeline with a pass that's steered by Gilmour into the defense. Played back ahead for the carry by Robitaille. Robitaille crossing, shoots, and a save made by Brodeur. And play is stopped.
These 2 goaltenders are something. They're special. Shots through traffic. They're making saves at both ends. Messier's line with all that speed. Challenge once again. Leach is up on the play. Graves is driving. Watch the original shot. A good save, but it extends Brodeur. Graves with a shot. Brodeur got it with his catching glove. Leach drove to the net. He tried to find a rebound. Was in the crease. There's the original kick save. Now watch the catching glove above the pad. There it is. Yes, Leach was in the crease, but after the puck had gotten there. Here again, the Rangers driving to the net. That's Flatley. The shot taken. Brodeur hangs on as Eastwood drives through looking for a rebound.
So Brodeur, as he's done since age 7, tending goal, watches this face-off that doesn't result in a Ranger opportunity this time. Back ahead, Niedermayer, a drive, knocked down by Richter, poked to the corner by Old Samuelson.
It gave Richter's left shoulder, make that right shoulder a shock. That long shot by Niedermayer hit him. Rangers have had more shots in the third period with 5:17 to go than they had the first 2 periods combined.
Gretzky's pass angled across and could not be shot by Flatley until then, and it went wide. Tikkanen tried to center. Tikkanen still patrolling along the wall, now stepping out. Tikkanen defended out to neutral ice by Niedermayer. Down to the ice, Niedermayer. Meanwhile, it is Karpatsev playing it into Niedermayer, and we get an offside call. 4:56 to go, third period, and it's still tied.
Rangers pressing. Niedermayer wants to keep the blue jersey between, his body between the blue jersey and the net. There you can see Niedermayer chase Tikkanen right out of the Devils zone, and we continue with under 5 minutes to go in the third period.
Puck chipped into the seats, and play once again is stopped. John was mentioning the Rangers shots. They've outdone their first two period totals here in the third, and they've outshot the Devils 14-8. 30-11, New Jersey, 10-5 in the first.
Brodeur only had 11 shots in the first two periods, but I would think that 9 of the 11 were real good quality chances, and he was good just staying mentally alert. And here in the third period, he's been very busy, and again, been very, very good. He's been beaten once, and that was on a breakaway.
It is Chambers shooting, and that went off Graves. McKay wedges in with Leach, and they spin. It's Bobby Holik. Back to Chambers, shooting, and it went off a leg. Bouncing puck picked up by the Rangers, brought out now by Courtnall. Looks across and then gives to Leach. Leach trying to fight his way by, and a pass went away from Graves to the corner. Graves jostled there by Holik, and it swept around to Scott Stevens. Stevens, the Devils captain, angles it ahead to Randy McKay. McKay just flops it back in. The bouncer went wide of Richter in the cage. Taken over by Leach and dropped behind. Bukaboom's pass was away from Messier. Shift change for the Rangers. Stevens back across to Chambers again. Chambers' pass was away from Guerin. Knocked loose by Guerin from Robitaille. Guerin around behind, lost it off his stick. Guerin controlling again, feeds it back over. Elias, a shot that went off of Eastwood. Elias again, and it's knocked down. Rebound sent on back in front. Guerin drives, save Richter, and it popped in the air, and it's Elias again. Elias around to Gilmore, wanting to come in front, can't. Feed over for Bill Guerin, got it to the point, O-line, a shot, and it sailed wide. Back now to Ellett. Ellett, a shot, blocked off by Richter. Taken by Doug Gilmore. Gilmore working it around behind. Guerin trying to get there. Chopped into him by Leach, and it squibbed back up to Ellett. Ellett tried to float it in front, and it's knocked back along by Eastwood and back down, and there will be icing.
Guerin got himself a shift on the right side in place of Andrechuk. He's been fresh. Guerin has not played very much. Andrechuk could be tiring, not playing throughout the playoffs. I think Guerin gave them a spark. To see here, Guerin on the wraparound try, can't get the shot, but he recovered the puck a lot on this shift and did not throw it blind. Got the puck back a number of times. That shot never got through. Here's Guerin again with a shot that does get through. Mike Richter the save. Richter talked about this building. Loves the lighting here. Says it's easy to see the puck. Well, he has to. He's now had 40 to see that he's had to make plays on, stopping 39 of them. That's a good shift by the Devils, but it was the freshness, I think, of Bill Guerin on the line that helped catapult the Devils to a good shift.
Offensive zone face-off New Jersey, and they'll go with Bobby Carpenter as you see the unbelievable number of saves out of the number of shots. He's let in 4. If I were a tax man and had a calculator, I'd know what that percentage is, but it's sky high. What, at 98? I don't know.
Rangers with Eastwood and Gretzky, 2 centermen on for the defensive draw.
One right in on Richter, and he'll cover. And we'll do it again. There have been playoff series before. There have been overtime games before. Doubles. And they all occurred in 1994. Matteau with the 2 Ranger winners. Stefan Richer with the Devil winner. Danico a shot, and that deflected wide. Richter jabbed it on. Eastwood flipped it further and out of play at the Rangers bench.
Could drive you crazy when the glass drops in the end zone. For a player trying to fire the puck out of the zone, you don't really want to put it into the stands because it creates another face-off in your zone. And you can see how the glass there drops down. See how it is here for a player. It's tough, very difficult to see that. And that time Eastwood put the puck in that area.
There's another unusual area of glass actually being out here too.
Yeah, it's strange along both benches, and it's equal and fair at both ends. But there's photographers that are right up against the players' benches here, and the glass stops short of that area.
Off this face-off, Leach steps away, hands it on to Graves. Graves hooked that, but emerges. Adam Graves on back, and it's lobbed high, glove down by Stevens. Scott Stevens controlling, shakes it back across for Chambers. Chambers banged it back in. Boom behind, bumped by Thomas, but help came.
Courtnall's had great skating legs here in the third period. I mean, a lot of players look to see, and you see fatigue. No, Courtnall, he's just flying.
The two captains go at one another. Meanwhile, it's McKay bringing it back up ice. Randy McKay trying to get by. McKay around behind, tied up by Leach. Everybody has a man. Every Devil tied by a Ranger. They skirmish for it. Stevens a drive and a pad stop by Richter.
It was a 3-on-4. The Devils end up with a shot. Graves was giving his stick to Doug Lidster, a defenseman who didn't have one. And another blast comes the way for Mike Richter to make the save.
Tonight, Fox May Events presents a night of all new episodes, beginning with the hilarious special, The World's Funniest Kids Outtakes 2, followed by The Simpsons, King of the Hill, and The X-Files. All starts at 7, 6 Central tonight on Fox. Well, this is a May event, too, and quite an event it is. 67 total shots in this game, and 2 goals. One by Tikkanen, one by Ralston for the Rangers in New Jersey. Guerin out there again with Doug Gilmour. Andreychuk is the other winger now, and it's tipped away from Gretzky. Niedermeyer right back in.
Yeah, Elias sits, Mike, on this shift. Andreychuk changes sides.
So Andreychuk has moved to the left then and floated back down. Left has been the side that he's played a lot this year, so it's really not that unusual for him.
Even though he's a right-handed shot, Jacques Lemaire is really trying to find and take advantage of freshness. He's put Peterson back in the lineup. Andreychuk's first game. He sat Andreychuk the odd shift to put Guerin out there, who hasn't played very much. So he's playing the percentages as a coach just to try to find somebody fresh to put on the ice. The Rangers continue to go with 3 lines, even though they don't have Nicholas Sundstrom. So the Rangers are trying to find a way to win this thing with a lineup that's depleted with injury problems, and yet they've been able to show a lot of character here in the third period and have had some great scoring chances. However, the last 2 or 3 minutes, the Devils have dominated.
Off this face-off to the corner, Andreychuk down to one knee. Puck controlled by Mike Eastwood, given over to Samuelsson. Ulf Samuelsson's pass is off Gretzky. Now controlled by Eastwood and banged back out. Danico dumped it along further. Andreychuk stepped into by Eastwood. Danico floated it back to him again. Little behind the back pass for Gilmour, but he was stood up by the checking carpet set. Blasted back off for Tikkanen. Tikkanen had it nudged away with a glove of Andreychuk, and it spiked to the glass. Now Ulf Samuelsson, as we're down to the last minute 22 of regulation time. There will be a full intermission and sudden death overtime. A 20-minute period if they stay tied. Gilmour drive, deflected, loose puck around in front. Guerin! Oh, and he hit the post with the shot. Now Guerin again, back to Danico, shoots, and it went up high and wide. My, oh my, the Devils were flooding all around the net, could not score.
The trap works for the Devils in the neutral zone. The Rangers moved up the ice. Gretzky tried. He had 2 men open on the far side, but Gilmour knocked the puck down, and the Devils did everything but score. Watch over here. Gretzky wants the puck to these 2 guys. The trap is there. It's set. The trap is taken care of. Now it's offense. Watch the shot taken. It does not get through here, but the Devils battle to the puck. There it is. Here's the shot. Goal post with that long reach of Andreychuk, and then Danico knew with Richter down, he had to shoot it high. And as he shot it high, it was a problem. Here's that long reach we talked about. Oh, it's Guerin, not Andreychuk. It's Guerin. And oh, he hit the goal post.
Well, there have been clinks of the iron at both ends. Why not? Devils Rangers 1-1 tie, final minute, third period. Messier put it out of play at the Devils bench.
Actually into that photographer spot we were talking about. Not many rinks in this league, arenas in this league have the glass stopping there. You see the turnbuckle right there. And in all this area before the bench, there's no glass. There's no glass in here at all. It's built so the photographers, and you see one smart one there, and he's got the helmet on. The other ones, pucks are frozen. They hurt. Oh, baby.
Well, they're artistes.
Well, maybe.
See why they're They're artists, and I don't want to ruin my art by wearing a helmet.
Oh,
I mean,
baby,
it might
yeah.
affect focal length and the f-stop and all the stuff I never do right on the vacation.
If you see 3 of them there with a twitch, you'll know what's happening.
Leach across now to Messier. Messier bringing it across onto Gilmore. Back to Messier. Backhander blocked high in the air. Messier up with it around behind. Fed one in front off Courtnall. And it's jammed away to the boards. Brian Ralston back up for the Devils. 28 to go regulation. Had it knocked away by Bukaboom. Brought back in by Gilmore. Trying to fight his way by. Can't do it.
Oh, baby. Gilmore and Bukaboom head to head. The only thing that stopped him was the glass.
They're at each other again. And Gilmore checked Bukaboom this time as we're down to the last 10. Handed on to Mike Eastwood. 6 to go. Eastwood around behind. Rammed by Niedermeyer. Still they spar for it. And Danico there. And it will take overtime.
And it should take overtime. Oh, baby. Both teams with some great body checks. The Devils hit a goal post late with Billy Guerin on the puck. The Rangers' Messier line was their best line in the third period, and the goaltenders have continued to be spectacular in this series. This is the play that Billy Guerin will move in on and find the puck, hit the goal post. As the puck is loose for a moment, it's dug out by the Devils, and you'll see Danico up high here. No, with Richter down, go high. He went high over the crossbar. We have overtime ahead.
Well, we'll shift back from noisy New Jersey to peaceful Hollywood right after this. Called in sudden death overtime. It has already happened on 4 occasions this year. It is Chambers to Stevens. Up front, New Jersey has Thomas with Bobby Holik and McKay. Graves and Messier and Russ Courtnall for New Jersey as Holik starts in. Bobby Holik around behind the net. Holik looking, tried to feed, but it was checked off by Leach, and we get a stoppage of play as the net is dislodged.
The third period, we did not have any scoring, but we saw lots of close plays. Messier, 2 close looks at the same play, and then here, Billy Guerin with about 2 minutes left in the game, minute and a half left, hit the goalpost. And then Danico threw a shot up high over top of the net of Mike Richter. Both teams very, very close to scoring. It's been an even game scoring chance-wise. However, the Devils have had 42 shots, the Rangers 25 as we head into this first overtime.
Pretty impressive numbers. In overtime, Mike Richter's record 6-7. Martin Brodeur's is 4-6. Both of them sub 500 in Stanley Cup overtime play. On back to Stevens. Shooting, and it went high off of Richter and bounced over near Graves. Swatted it behind for Leach. But it's Bukaboom. Laid back out for Courtnall. Gets it across to Mark Messier. Messier moving in. Drops it back. Shot by Graves. His knife down. Played ahead, and the Devils bring it out. Randy McKay coasting on in. McKay with a pass. Bobby Holik took it. Flipped one. He was trying to find Thomas in front, and that knocked down by the defense. Played back onto Graves. Rammed by Randy McKay as it's Stevens back over for Chambers. Both teams are in the midst of a change. Courtnall trying to get in, but it went back deeper. What is the normal length of a shift, John, and how does that change in overtime?
It should be 40 seconds, and I don't think it should change, Mike. But one thing for sure, a shift should not be longer than 40 seconds.
Down went Stevens on the hook of Gretzky. Puck back to the point. Karpatsev tried to play it further. Ralston wanted to get it across. Neither successful. Stevens with a pass that's off John McLean.
And Stevens and Chambers with a long shift here. They can't get off.
Tikkanen trying to get by Chambers, and it's chopped back deep. Still Stevens there, rammed by Flatling.
We're a minute and a half into overtime, and Stevens and Chambers have not gotten off the ice yet.
Good point. It is a long change. You have to go all the way across the red line to your bench, longer than in the first and third periods. Ralston helps this one back in, and finally they can get back to the bench. Their shift lasted a minute 45.
Now that makes you wonder if Coley Campbell will come right back with a Messier line quickly to try and keep them away from Scotty Stevens, who has to be on the bench trying to recover.
It is Ellett wanting to get it by, but cannot. Dave Andrichuk pitchforks it back in. It is gloved down by Bruce Driver. Driver with a pass back across to Doug Lidster, then on for Churla. Churla bounced it further. Eastwood went down, stepping on the stick blade of Ellett. Around behind Odeline, wrapped it back off for Guerin.
So Jacques Lemaire staying with Andrichuk, moving from right wing to left wing, inserting Guerin back over on the right side, and Doug Gilmore at center ice. This line was put together in the third period.
It is Courtnall moving in, shooting! And getting a piece of that was Brodeur. It may have actually rung off the post too, but here's Leach. Leach holds, moves on in. Leach trying to get by Guerin with a shot. Pad stop Brodeur, rebound. Swept on back to Bukaboom. Bukaboom back over to Leach. Winds up and angles one across. Messier, rising shot, got the post! On back to the point, Leach a drive, and it's held by Brodeur.
And the Rangers with the Messier line. Again, they get a shift here where it's not Stevens and not Chambers. They got caught. Chambers and Stevens got caught on the ice for a long, almost 2-minute shift and couldn't get off. So Coley Campbell, seeing that there's a different pair out there, left the Messier line on the ice to work against them. One goalpost hit by Courtnall to the outside. And then this pass across, you'll see in a moment, will be a firm one to Messier, who releases right there. The Devils have 4 men up high. Messier's wide open, and he caught Brodeur moving. The high shot went off the inside of the goalpost as the Messier line worked. Now with the stoppage in play after the, there you see again the Messier shot. Now with the stoppage, you see Stevens and Chambers go on the ice to face the Messier line. Mark Messier has got lots of power, or pardon me, lots of overtime points, Mike, but we made the point earlier, never an overtime goal. That time the goalpost, and again, as we mentioned earlier in the game, Gordie Howe, 68 overtime goals, or 68 goals in the playoffs. Let me get this right. None in overtime. Mario Lemieux, 70 playoff goals, none in overtime. But we know all three of those great players got lots of points in overtime.
Did they ever? Leach hands over to Bukaboom, flips one that is blocked down by Bobby Holik, and Holik takes it. Holik shoved it back to neutral ice. Bukaboom reaching for it there, tried to play it by Thomas, could not. It's helped back in by McKay. Brian Leach behind, smoked out by Holik and taken down on the play. Meanwhile, it is played back across for Bukaboom. Bukaboom's pass is on to Courtnall, tried to help it through, kicked out by Stevens, put on goal by Courtnall and saved by Brodeur. McKay banged it back off, spiked down by Gilmore, has Thomas with him. Doug Gilmore cruising back in. It's dropped back but to neutral ice for Stevens to play. Stevens tried to work it back on, could not, tries once more, knocks flatly down. Meanwhile, it's Gilmore bringing it back. Doug Gilmore walking it on in, fed it across. Elias backhander across the net mouth wide. Flatley steering it back ahead. Esa Tikkanen brings it on, drops it to Gretzky, but the pass is taken by Niedermeyer. Scott Niedermeyer's pass is off Carpenter's kick skate. Then Richter hangs on to it, and we get a halt to play.
Holik, as you mentioned, moved in on Brian Leach a little earlier. And you'll see Leach having to play the puck, trying to settle it down, looks up, and boom. Hip into hip with Holik on Leach. Mike, I'm not a fan of drop passes. I'm really not in these situations. And I think both teams, if they go on the offense, if you drop the puck back and the pass is not completed, you're trapping all your players and teammates heading north. All of a sudden, the other team will go south. I think it's something that both teams have to be very aware of, especially near the blue lines. As you see the shots, 3-zip in overtime for the Rangers, plus the goalpost crossbar that Mark Messier hit.
Yeah, those do not count. Goaltenders would like to see them at least as saves.
Well, yeah, you forced them to shoot wide and forced them to hit the post.
Right. Elliott across, Odeline moving in, shooting! And it was slowed by Robitaille and then knocked away by Richter. Racing back out with it is Eastwood again. Mike Eastwood heading on in. Eastwood with a pass that's back checked away by Doug Gilmore, and he roars around behind. This is Gilmore looking for his first point in the series, handing it on to Guerin. Back to Gilmore, crossing, feeds, and it's dumped by Elias. There to get it is Guerin, locked up with Ulf Samuelsson. Puck pinball back over for Karpatsev, and he steers it back up to Robitaille. The big left-wing sniper closing on in, but an offside call. Philadelphia has defeated Buffalo this afternoon by a score of 6-3. So now Philadelphia awaits the winner of this series.
One thing to mention here, too, in overtime is there no delays for television timeouts. It's continual play. So the coaches have to think differently. They have to think about their lines. They have to think, when they look at the clock a lot of times, you know when the commercials are coming up. In overtime, you don't have that luxury, and you're playing 3 lines. Both these coaches have. The Devils have actually played maybe 10 forwards, a lot in this game, as opposed to the 12 they have dressed. The Rangers have played 9, inserting Churla the odd time, Jernander very seldom, and Langdon I don't think has played. So we continue.
Both coaches have a timeout at their discretion. It is Leach bringing it ahead, handing on for Messier. Messier dealt it in. Brodeur watched it swirl behind. Graves kicked it on. Bobby Holik there, knocked from him. It's knocked to the boards again by McKay, and then a shot from the slot was wide by Graves. Adam Graves had that one off the stick of Stevens. Big shot by Bukaboom, and that hit Graves. It's worked on now for Thomas. Thomas wanting to get by the defense. Can't do it and keep control. Falls a little bit with Brian Leach as it's rattled around the boards for Messier. The Rangers captain hands it on across now for Leach. Leach eyed up by McKay, plays it back in, and Chambers turns in tandem with Stevens to play. Sean Chambers passes on to Thomas. Devils forwards in the midst of a change.
See Messier's line off the ice again, and the Devils can't get that defensive pair off.
Flatley shouldered by Stevens. Puck taken by Brodeur. Steered back up now for McLean and then on for Carpenter. That defensive line wants to come off now. The long shot on Richter, and he hangs on and then hangs on and then hangs on and then hangs on and gets the stoppage.
He took the long Carpenter shot off the chest. He didn't play it with his hands. It hit his chest, and then he had trouble getting it into his glove. By the time he did, there were some of the Devil players there, and I think Richter, if he had a perfect world ahead of him, he would have wanted to have been able to move the puck and not cause the face-off in his zone. The shot's from well outside the blue line, off the chest. Now you'll see him come down to earth a little bit, try and find the puck. By the time he looks up, he sees Carpenter moving in, or at least one of the Devils moving in. Yes, that is Bobby Carpenter. So face-off time, Rangers zone. Eastwood has taken a lot of draws in this game for the Rangers.
As has Carpenter for New Jersey, and from this draw, it is John McLean, but anticipating well was Tikkanen. Tikkanen moving back in with it, dragged it over the line, and an offside call.
Tikkanen wanted to find a way to get the puck into the zone to give it to Gretzky because Eastwood was on the other side of the ice, and it was a partial 3-on-2. And Gretzky would have tried to hit Eastwood with the pass. Here's Tikkanen freely coming out. Nobody picked him off. Now he heads up ice. He's picked up nicely by Niedermayer. And you can see he put himself offside as he didn't have total control of the puck. You'll see Eastwood taking the draw. He'll go up that side of the ice. Tikkanen makes the nice play. Now there's Eastwood going late. Here's Gretzky and Tikkanen 2-on-2. Over here's Eastwood. If Gretzky gets the puck, he was going to try to hit Eastwood driving to the net.
Well, Gretzky versus Gilmore for this faceoff.
And you see Eastwood's gone off for Flatley. Eastwood's on the ice to take the draws for Gretzky in the Rangers zone. Sundstrom did a lot of that. Sundstrom, of course, out with a fractured arm.
Bill Guerin kicks to control, starts it ahead. Guerin trying to get through, cannot. Lidster off the shoulder of Flatley, taken on by Gretzky. Gretzky giving it to Tikkanen, shoots, but it's cut off by Niedermayer. Long pass, and Bill Guerin moving in on the wing. Guerin with a drive, and that one deflected wide. Came out for Richter, jabbing away at it as Guerin, but Richter has it covered and play a stop.
The efforts there both ways. Doug Gilmore had lost his stick. The Rangers tried to take advantage of that in the Devils zone. The Devils took care of business and tried to feed Guerin. And watch Lidster come across and reach and lunge and boom, block the shot as it was about to be taken by Guerin. And then Richter in this situation just can't panic. You can't panic. You've got to go to the puck and not flail away. Calmly try to find it, not knock it backwards. Guerin, his job is to drive to the net and try and jar it loose. Both teams giving it their best shot here in overtime.
You see the shots have been taken around the eyes too. Shoves and jabs, and both teams have them. Both teams use the ice bags. Both teams with bruises, some with fractures that haven't fully healed. Odeline a shot, and that deflected. Ulf Samuelsson there, chased off by Ralston. It's laid around near Dave Ellett. Ellett pinched to knock it loose. Off of Bobby Carpenter, taken by Robitaille. Robitaille's pass is chipped across. Ken Jernander put it back in on goal. Jernander has not seen that much ice and has the fresh legs.
Well, he's not a big, durable, strong player, but he's certainly a break player.
Carpetsev back. Ellett flips it out. Elias with a pass on to Ralston, trying to step away from Carpetsev, and does. Ralston to the boards, Carpetsev on him, and they waltz to the corner. Ulf Samuelsson to Carpetsev.
Devils trying to change on the fly as Messier's out there. Holik does come off the bench, and he meets up with Messier immediately. Two big centermen head-to-head all game long.
Ellett put it behind. Odeline took it there, dumped it along for McKay. 7:15 have been played in the first sudden death overtime period. Ralston tipped ahead. Randy McKay after it. Canceled out by the reach of Leach. Courtnall had it knocked away by Bobby Holik, but it's picked up by Messier, who twirls back. Gets the pass ahead now to Leach, who moves in. Leach crossing. Pivots. Looks for a pass. Doesn't have it. And it is Thomas. Able to shake it to neutral ice, and it's quickly swung away by Courtnall in an offside call.
12:20 to go. First overtime. Messier's line vacates. The Devils. Holik heads to the bench. The matchups. I mean, these players have played head-to-head, head-to-head, head-to-head. We're seeing a lot more of Gilmour, Gretzky here in overtime than what we saw earlier in the game. You're not seeing a lot of dump and chase. You're seeing more possession play here, trying to make a play to go for the goal. Both teams look remarkably calm, don't they, Mike? And I think a lot of it has to do with these aren't young teams. These are very experienced teams, experienced playoff teams.
They look remarkably fresh, too. Near the end of their shifts, they're a little loggy, and you'd expect that, especially when you can't get the change you want, and that's bothered both teams.
And you get rid of something called lactic acid. That's a terrible word for an athlete.
Guerin moving ahead to Andreychuk, shooting, and a save made by Richter. Tikkanen puts it back onto Gretzky, knifed down by Dave Andreychuk. Andreychuk swats it back off the boards, and it's skipped back down. There'll be no icing on this. Richter out to scoop it along with a big goal stick near Tikkanen, but chopped loose off of Andreychuk. Andreychuk without a stick steps into Flatley. Meanwhile, it is Niedermayer having it knocked away. It's connected back onto Tikkanen. Wrist shot fanned. Taken by Gilmour, lobbed back out.
Andreychuk still doesn't have a stick.
Coming to the bench on a change now. Meanwhile, it's Lidster throwing it all the way through and down, and there'll be a stoppage on the icing.
I mentioned that lactic acid before. For an athlete, when you're out on your shift and you're skating and working, or if you're a runner or a football player and your legs start to tighten up and they get real sore, look at that young lady. Oh, baby. She might have lactic acid in the hands. But anyway, when your legs start to get burning and get tired, it's the lactic acid that goes into the muscle fiber. And the athletes that are great athletes are the ones that can go to the bench. Oh, look at this. Look at this. It's something. They go to the bench and they're able to regroup. And they're able to get fresh quickly. The ones that can recover the quickest are the ones that become, I think, the great athletes. And the fans here, I mean, you can feel, you can sense the tense feelings in this building.
No, it's not raucous right now. Sort of frightful.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's quiet for a reason because everybody's frightened. Face-off's important. The linesman does a good job making it legal.
Off the face-off, puck picked up by Bruce Driver, starts it back out again, hooked at by Carpenter. Odeline played it back, John McLean in with Ralston. McLean crossing in front, threw it across the net mouth wide. Now it's Ellett keeping it along, but it's blocked and kept alive by Eastwood, who starts it ahead. Moving on is Luc Robitaille with it for the Rangers. Robitaille trying to get through, wedged off by Ellett, punished to the boards, but he pulls away. It is Robitaille again, fed one, shot by Churla, did not miss by much. Kept alive by Driver, wrapped on around the roulette wheel, and stepping to it is Ralston. Forced back and hooked off by Robitaille. Churla around behind. Churla looking, holding, shooting, and it was blocked by Brodeur, and then the whistle blown.
The puck was loose, but Kaharski thought it was underneath the goaltender. There was a hook in behind the play that Kaharski let go. And oh man, did Churla ever come close? And one in prior to that, John McLean was close on a 2-on-1. Here's the shot by Churla. That one was low on the ice that just missed. Now let's watch as the puck's over on the other side. You'll see Robitaille reach in the hook. That bought some ice. And the Rangers here with the puck going towards Brodeur. The puck was loose, and I think Kaharski thought the puck was underneath the goaltender, Brodeur, who never really got up here. He thinks wraparound. He's down, he's on his back, he's got no stick, and the puck is there, and the goaltender down. Kaharski's over on that side. He thought it was underneath the goaltender.
On the face-off, it is Holik, then to Scott Stevens on the wall for Thomas. Steve Thomas, menaced by some checking from Russ Courtnall, has to drop it back. Stevens railed it back away from Bukaboom, and on its end, it rolls right in on Richter.
Trap set up. As the Rangers set up behind their net, the Devils don't want the Rangers to complete the second pass. We've already seen one pass. There's two. Rangers slow right down. There's three. But they haven't gotten to center ice. There's four, and they've broken the trap.
Lob back in. Stevens to that one. Rangers make a change. The pass on to Thomas. Thomas feathered it by Holik, and on now to Randy McKay. Big drive blocked away by Ulf Samuelsson. Around now for Thomas. Tripped up behind by Ulf Samuelsson. Puck comes to the board. Backhanded along by Holik. Thomas tried to center, and it was just away from McKay. Taken by Bobby Holik again. Holik twisting around behind. Holik wanting a wraparound. Holik surrounded by 3 Rangers, still battling for it. Bobby Holik on the boards. On him is Graves. Gretzky comes by, still the battle on. Thomas hands back to Stevens. Stevens with a shot, and it's blocked away by Richter after it's been blocked off by Karpatsev. Stevens with a shot in front. Pad stop Richter. Rebound is pitchfork back out to neutral ice.
And Bobby Holik had a physically dominating shift.
Here comes Gilmore, roaring right back in. Got it to Niedermeyer, and the shot was blocked away by Karpatsev. Rebound comes to the corner. Feverish action here. Puck up to Gretzky, hands it on across for Luc Robitaille. Robitaille controlling away from the reach of Andreychuk, and it's back to neutral ice. Gretzky an onside taking the pass. Weaving his way, but he can't control. Devils outman.
A great shift, but Richter was there for the Rangers.
Here comes Andreychuk with a shot snuffed out. Guerin with a shot, and it's blocked away. Taken by Lidster. Flipped along and carried out by Eastwood again in a 2-on-2. Mike Eastwood able to give it along for a shot by Driver that's blocked down. Odeline got in the way of that one, tries to trap, but it's knocked away. Now Eastwood centers. Ellett pitched it away, but into traffic. Knocked loose by Brodeur, and he's able to cover, and we get a stoppage of play.
And here we go. Well, I tell you, Mike, Dougie Gilmore's got to relax here. He's throwing left punches. He's got to relax. We are seeing defensemen block shots that are full-bore slap shots. I saw Ulf Samuelsson, I saw Lyle Odeline. And these are blasters right off their ankles, and you can see the player just cringe, but keep going. Now over on the far side, Samuelsson was pulled down, opened up the lane, and a nice pass, one-handed by Gilmore to Niedermeyer, but he couldn't get the clean shot. And then the Rangers head towards the net. There's Odeline. He just blocked a shot with his ankle, a big hard shot. He gets right back up and jumps into the play. Puck in front. No clean shot as Brodeur finds the puck, and the Devils vacate the zone. Make sure the zone is vacated, make that. You know, actually, Brodeur here loses the puck. He thinks he's got it with Eastwood there. Watch it drop down. And Courtnall will move in and try and jam the puck in behind Brodeur. So far, the goaltenders have been splendid.
Well, on the face-offs, it's been Holik dominant. Messier wins this one. Back to Leach. Leach wrapping it around behind Stevens, and the net dislodged, so that'll cause a stoppage of play. You know, you talk to referees about sudden death overtime, and a guy like Don Koharski will tell you, the one thing I want is a clean goal.
Yeah, they hope for it. They really do.
And that one where Brodeur was pawing away at it and one back at the other end would not have been necessarily clean, and may have resulted in a phone call, which has happened in overtime after goals have been scored this year.
I think we've seen both teams do their best at staying out of the goal crease in this game, too. I'm sure if there's a goal scored on a scramble, the video goal judge will be busy. We've had 2 goals scored in the game. The Rangers, the first one. Tikkanen on the breakaway. Over the shoulder of Brodeur on the Gretzky pass. The second one was a power play goal. Ralston was covering up at the blue line. He's a forward for Niedermeyer, the defenseman, who was in deep. And a screen shot up over the shoulder of Richter was what beat Richter. Those are the Marsh pegs. Those things are flexible. They bend. And if the player flies into the goal net, they'll give, allowing the goal net to break away, and therefore the player not to become injured. And that's been a pleasant change in this league over the years.
Messier won the last important face-off from Bobby Holik. And on this one, it's across, and Leach is in and shoots one that's blocked high and out of play by the limping Sean Chambers.
And that hurt Chambers. He blocked it with his ankle.
Tonight, Fox May Event presents a night of all new episodes, beginning with the hilarious special, The World's Funniest Kids Outtakes 2, followed by The Simpsons, King of the Hill, and The X-Files. All starts at 7, 6 Central, tonight on Fox.
Messier has beaten Holik the last 2 draws in the Devils zone. The last one, Chambers got out to block the Leach shot, and Jacques Lemaire elects to leave Holik to go opposite Messier.
Off the draw, Devils control on this one. Scott Stevens lobbed it along. It went off Thomas, brushed aside by Holik. Tries a second time, canceled out by Messier. Puck off the leg of Bukaboom, nearly run by Holik, but now it's Leach. Brian Leach, the Rangers captain, with the Rangers defensive leader, I should say. Now on to the captain, Messier. Bouncing puck is grabbed off by Bobby Holik. Holik with a pass taken by Steve Thomas. Moving ahead with McKay. Thomas is shot. And he got the glass above the crossbar. It is Thomas again trying to center, but instead it's Adam Graves. Graves for the Rangers, flipping it back. Taken by Stevens and handed back over to Chambers. Sean Chambers with 7 minutes, 52 seconds to go in the first overtime. Stevens a pass that's knifed across. John McLean trying to get by, cannot do it. Bukaboom on him, pawing at him as they go to the boards. Ralston comes in, 5 players going after the puck. Knocked back up the boards, and it's taken by Esa Tikkanen. Crisp passes ahead to Gretzky, moving up with Ken Jernander. Gretzky scoops it over to Tikkanen. Tikkanen a blast, and it went off Brodeur and up wide. He got the bottom of his glove on it. Wrapped on around now. Gretzky put it in front, kicked out by Brodeur. Tipped aside, kept alive by Jernander. Jernander played it to the corner. Gretzky dips in there. Battles with Ken Daneyko. Now Ralston. Ralston moving out with John McLean. Ralston trying to step by the defense, can't do it. Karpatsev defending him well. Around behind, Ralston put it off the outside of the goal. They scrap for it. It's held by Richter, and play is stopped again.
Earlier, Don Kaharski was in the corner with the players, and when the puck became loose, he became the traffic cop. Listen for it. That's Don Kaharski telling all the players that were in the corner that the puck is loose. In other words, release from your battleground and continue playing so he wouldn't have to call a penalty. Tikkanen with another one of those long shots that's scary for goaltenders, and Brodeur got a piece of the puck with his catching glove, and the puck ricocheted down and just wide. And now the water bottle that's empty back to the Rangers bench as Richter has gotten a new one that's full. Players try to put fluids back into their systems during games that go on for a long period of time like this.
Each of the teams takes care of their own water bottles.
Whoops, I'm sorry.
What did you have there?
All the water bottles were inside the Rangers bench there. You can see where they sit.
Here is Ellett. Faking, playing it off Churla. Gilmore down, trying to play it along, cannot. Dump back up the boards, and Shane Churla brings it back. Churla with one of the better chances in this overtime. Got it to Robitaille, who glassed it back deep. Lyle Odeline holding for the New Jersey Devils. 6:45 to go. First sudden death overtime. Shots are 47-30 in favor of the Devils. Doug Gilmore moving it ahead. Still able to control. Walks his way in. A little tap by Odeline. Elias in with a shot, and it flew wide. Back now to the point, kept alive by Ellett. Flipped it along, but it is flipped on by Eastwood and taken by Robitaille. Robitaille gave it up to Ellett, but it pinballed off Robitaille's knee, and so Guerin twirls behind. Shuttled it off to Ellett. Both teams have made a change. It's Odeline again. While Odeline sealed up, puck went back down. There'll be no icing on this. 6:10 to go. Bobby Holik battling behind, but it's taken by Messier. Forced off by Randy McKay. Messier's pass came all the way out to Courtnall in a 2-on-2. Crisscrosses with Adam Graves. Courtnall waits and deals it off, hoping for Graves. Defended by Stevens. Around behind, Graves up with it. Put one in front, he scores!
This was a play set up by Mark Messier with a long pass from his own zone and taking a hit on the play. And he made the pass that set up a 2-on-2. And when the 2-on-2 started, Graves ended up behind the net with Stevens, and he scored a wraparound goal. You'll see Messier over here go to the corner. He'll take a pass to take a hit to throw the pass through the middle. It's 2-on-2. This is remarkably close to the wraparound goal that Matteau scored on to knock the Rangers out in '94. This is all it is. It's a battle behind the net, the wraparound try, and before Marty Brodeur could get there, Adam Graves had scored from almost behind the net. You see the battle. It's one-on-one, and we saw one-on-one battles all series long. Adam Graves ends it, the Rangers in 5, and now you see the handshakes. Mike Richter, the MVP of the series. John McLean shook hands with all the Rangers. This was a battle. Every one of these games was close.
Well, there they are. You may have heard Martin Brodeur say good luck. The Rangers and the Flyers. Detroit against to be determined, either Colorado or Edmonton.
It's an amazing series for the Rangers, led by Mike Richter. Their best players played well. Brodeur knows it's a one-on-one. You can see Graves get a step on Scotty Stevens. He fights through the hook. The stick of Brodeur can't get to the puck. That opened up the legs, and Graves slid it right underneath Marty Brodeur, and it ended this in the first overtime.
It took 5. It took overtime in Game 5. We'll return in a moment. Madison Square Garden, and Stefan Matteau with a similar play that ended that series in 7 games. This one ended in 5 as we get to see the play developing. A very similar play one more time. Kicking to control marvelously as Graves, and he stoked it in off the inside of the right leg of Martin Brodeur. The Rangers celebrate and end the series in 5. Our new Dodge player of the game is Adam Graves. So next Sunday, one of the old rivalries after the first expansion, the Philadelphia Flyers and the New York Rangers from Coors State Center in Philadelphia. We'll have it for you at 2 o'clock Eastern Time. For John Davidson, Mike Emmerich saying good afternoon from the Meadowlands. In overtime, again, the final score on Adam Graves' goal. The Rangers 2, the Devils 1.
Welcome back. We're going to check in now for the first time with our crew at the Meadowlands. Adam Graves scored the game winner, and right after he skated off the ice, our Mike Crispino caught up with them. Here's our guys from just a few seconds ago.
All right. Thanks, Deb. We're here with Adam Graves. 14:08 into overtime. He scores the game winner. You had to beat one of the great defensemen to do it. Tell us how it happened.
I was just lucky. Just tried to get the puck and wrap it around. Unfortunately enough, it found its way into the net.
You know, you play overtime games. You never know what's going to happen. The pressure building, but you still knew you had a 3-games-to-1 lead, right?
Oh, most definitely. And anytime you're playing the Devils, you know you're up against tough competition. It always makes it tough.
All right, it's on to the Flyers. What do you think about that?
Well, we'll just, try to get everything ready for try to get as much rest between now and when we play. And, it's going to be tough. They have a hell of a hockey team. They won today against Buffalo. And it only gets tougher as you go along.
All right, Adam, thanks much. All right, Deb, let's go back to you. Adam Graves with a game winner, and Mike Richter, a sensational effort this afternoon at the Meadowlands, ending the New Jersey Devils season in overtime.
Okay, Mike, you saw Mike Richter skate away there. He has been brilliant in the series. He might have outdone himself today. Coming off of the shutout, he had 40 saves in regulation and a total of 46 saves today. In this series, 4 goals allowed, 2 shutouts. Not a bad week and a half for Mike Richter. Standing on his head in most of these games, he's a big reason why they're still alive and why they're moving on. Let's go back now to Mike Crispino. He's live at the Meadowlands. Mike?
Thanks very much, Deb. It's bedlam inside the Rangers dressing room. We've got Neil Smith out here. He's calm. He's relaxed. They just knocked off the #1 team in the Eastern Conference 4-games-to-1. I know a lot of people thought this wouldn't happen. This couldn't happen, and those of us who watched the Devils quite a bit this year are surprised still that the Rangers have done this in 5 games over the New Jersey Devils.
Well, I don't know if 5 games is an accurate depiction of the quality of the 2 teams. I think this could have easily gone into overtime of the 7th game, and I do think, however, that our team has started to show the qualities that they have, and that we can play with anybody in any style of game. And I think the coaching has been tremendous to get these kind of offensive players that we have to play a disciplined system and a system that works, obviously.
Obviously, scoring the first goal meant so much during this playoff series, and in the playoffs in general, 7-0 now when you score that first goal. Mike Richter's play has just been stupendous. The numbers keep piling up. I think I just tabulated it up. He's stopped 178 of 180.